Today's episode of Darkness Radio is brought to you by Microdose. Get out of pain, get out of anxiety, and start treating yourself a little bit better. Try Microdose. Microdose is a CBD THC gummy that will get you out of pain, get you out of anxiety, and get you into feeling good again. To learn more about microdosing THC, go to microdose.com and use the code DARKNESS to get free shipping and 30% off your first order. Links can be found in the show description, but again, that's microdose.com, code DARKNESS. Welcome in to the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm Tim Dennis. Good show for you today, folks. We're going to go a little bit off the beaten path. You know, the thing says True Crime Tuesday, but we're going to get into some fiction today, some good fiction, as a matter of fact. I had the honor of reading a book over the weekend. I had to drown my sorrows over that Vikings game. I just had to. It was... Destruction is in the title of our book, Destruction of Justice, and it was a destruction of the Vikings over the weekend with that Dallas Cowboys game. I'm telling you, I just had a rough weekend all the way around. So I was glad to drown my sorrows in reading Destruction of Justice, which is an awesome book, by the way, that our guest Lawrence Davis wrote. Let me tell you a little bit about Lawrence, or Larry as we're going to call him, because his friends call him so. I hope we can add ourselves to that list of friends. Lawrence Davis is a decorated U.S. Army infantryman who served 3 combat tours overseas, including in Iraq. His first book, which was highly successful, Blunt Force Magic, was written in part to help navigate the struggles associated with post-traumatic stress syndrome, which is personified by the stalker in his novel. And the stalker is quite scary, folks. He's a shooting instructor and dog rescue advocate who lives in Florida with his 4 rescue pit bulls and extremely patient girlfriend. We give her kudos as well. Let's welcome in to True Crime Tuesday, Larry Davis. I'm just going to start calling you Larry from here on out. Thanks for being on today, Larry.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, man. Like you and I were gabbing a little bit beforehand. A lot of shared interest, and became a fan listening to the first couple episodes. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, it's our pleasure to have you here, indeed. Yeah, we got some shared interests, man. We got the love of service. We've got the love of wrestling. We're gonna throw that out right away, and just put it out there. And lots of love and in sci-fi in particular, and that's what I loved about this book. I got myself lost in it over the weekend. And I got to tell you, I got lost in it right away. It was, even though this is the second of a trilogy in the series, I didn't have to necessarily read the first book because I got it as I got along. And I got to throw my kudos out to you, my friend, first of all, for that.
Thank you. It's funny because I'm not going to spoil anything for the first book, and I know you read that. But how the first book starts, it's an untraditional catalyst for one of these kind of stories. Mm-hmm. And so the first book, I think if I ever do get this thing really going into what I hope it morphs into, the first book almost could be like a prelude down the road. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like how the second book, I think, touched on a lot of the cornerstones of what the story is trying to encapsulate and what the world's about. But I hope that it kept that signature of this is not your common group of guys going through this stuff.
Yeah. We'll get to the stories of Blunt Force Magic in the second book here in just a moment, Destruction of Justice. Let's talk a little about your story first and how we got to the formation of these 2 stories. Of course, you served our country, and I want to thank you, first of all, for your service. I know that seems sometimes cliche. And first of all, let me ask you this question, because does it become too cliche if somebody thanks you over and over again for your service? Does it become too cliche to hear that?
I think how you digest a compliment is a mix of emotional intelligence and age. So I think, like anything else in life, why somebody holds a door open in your 20s means something as opposed to your 30s, as opposed to your 40s, as opposed to your 50s, when maybe it's because you know that in 10 years you're really hoping somebody does this for you. Mm-hmm. So for me, I'm at the point of my journey where it's one of the nicest things somebody could say to me So long as I tell them, it was the deepest honor of my career and it gave me everything that's brought me to where I am now. I am the sum total of everybody in my life, and the most impactful ones have been fellow soldiers and mentors and teachers from that time. So for me, I'm down with it. But I do a bunch of men's health group. I give hugs now, so I might be getting a little soft in my old age.
There's no such thing, my friend. No such thing as being too soft as you get older. I think one of the things that as men we tend to think is, if we get too soft, we're showing a side of ourselves we really shouldn't. I think as we age, we should. I think we should be in touch with our feelings, because I think part of what causes some, what's a good way of putting this? What causes some issues with us mentally as we age is the fact that we are holding back our feelings and we're not communicating. We're not getting these things out. We're not talking to each other enough. We're not working through things the way we should. And I think we've done that for too long. I know my grandfather's generation, my father's generation, even my great-grandfather's generation. I think if they just opened up and talked more, I'm not going to take the focus off of you because I do want to talk about PTSD. But one of the things that I brought up before here on the show is my grandfather suffered from extreme PTSD. And one of the greatest things I think I ever watched him do, and I helped him with, was he was in World War II. He served 2 terms. He served in the European theater in Italy. He was actually shot in the back and fell unconscious and was saved by a Native American man who's here in the Twin Cities, who came to his funeral, and was carried to safety, came back to the Twin Cities here. And when he came back to the Twin Cities, I think he got a little bit of a guilt trip from my great grandmother that his brother was over in the Pacific Theater, kind of as she put it, by himself. He wasn't quite by himself, but he was, on a battleship outside of Japan. And she said, well, you've got to go over there and take care of your brother. And so he felt duty to country that, he was back home, but he also felt duty to his brother that he was over in the Pacific Theater. So he knew he couldn't re-enlist in the Army. He re-enlisted in the Navy and went over to the Philippines, to Corregidor, and became a frogman.
Wow.
Which he got bit. He got bit by a shark while he was over there, Larry.
Poor guy.
So he saw plenty of it. But one of the things he told me, we were at one of his homes. Of course, you have many homes when you're growing up and going through life. But at one of his homes in his backyard, he built a Japanese waterfall. And I was trying to figure out why he was doing this. And he told me, well, at the time that he was going through what he was going through, I was finding out that, they would keep POWs, of course, when they would capture prisoners. But I was also finding out that, he would sneak extra rations to prisoners. And he would say, well, Timmy, I don't have to hate my enemy. I did have a certain respect for my enemy. And, because they were family men too. They had families, they lived lives, they had occupations. Sure, we didn't have common goals. They were fighting us. They were trying to kill us. But at the same time, they had their stuff going on. We had our stuff going on. And so I think he built this waterfall in honor of them, in respect to them, knowing that he had killed and needed to do something to honor the people he had killed.
I think if you learn to forgive enough people, one day you might be big enough to forgive yourself, and then you'll be at peace.
Yeah.
So I think that was his journey, and I think that's a lot of our journeys. Hardest guy you're ever going to have to forgive is the one in the mirror.
That's true.
But if you start to learn to forgive things like your enemies and other guys, you start to humanize things, gives perspective, man. And it allows you to understand. And, understanding doesn't mean life won't be hard. Life's still a fresh kick in the dick every day.
Yeah.
But it allows you to process it with an authenticity and even maybe a kindness about you that helps take the edge off some of the things. So, I very much like your grandfather. I didn't have no beef with nobody. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This is just the way a bunch of cards fell one day. Guys like us are the ones holding the bucket. But I do think that that's the way towards healing, and I think, you don't even have to be a soldier to struggle with that, especially as a man in communication and things that we're talking about. So, I think in my book, I try to touch on that a lot. Do you know what I mean? Like that these guys I try to, you and I joked a little bit beforehand. I don't want to jump to it because I'll keep it on me, but like,
sure.
My editor made an interesting note the first time we ever talked, where she was like, I've edited so many books, but you're the first guy I've read who, when I hear how you describe a punch, I go, this guy's throwing a punch,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't mean that in a cool way. I mean that in a bad way, where you go, oh, I shouldn't have done that. My hand hurts. I didn't think this through. He's hitting back. Like, so I think I try to put a lot of human things in there because I don't think there is a template out there that's gotten to enough men that show that these guys have these experiences. Like, we make anti-heroes, but they're still Billy badasses with 8-packs who never get anything wrong and still get the girl. Yeah. Like, I wanted to make somebody that's this, this trial and error, that the majority of my day is dealing with failure and the recompense and consequence that it costs, so, and then I don't know how to feel about that. So, I think your grandfather, comes from a generation where that was particularly tough to navigate. We've thankfully been given a lot more resources. And I think it's a commentary on his character that he was able to get there. And to the point where so much was at peace at the end. So, and that's tough.
It is tough. I think it's what's tougher now about, how should I put this, Larry? And I only mean this with respect. So bear with me here. I think it was much more easier in the World War II era to say, this is black, this is white, this is good, this is bad. You serve your role, you come back, you're a hero, than it is now where there are so many different shades of gray. And to come back and say, you're a hero. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, I did a lot of contract work, which is, really, really groovy way of saying that I was a professional criminal. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's the skill set I learned from the military. So, you think you're a man of ethos and you go and cash some checks like that, then you got to question your whole moral compass, which makes it easier to examine the fact that, oh, maybe we didn't get here through the most righteous means like we used to. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When's the last time we had a war that somebody could really stick a flag behind, and through the lens of history and the sobering prospect of time, go, no, that was the bad guy and that was the good guy. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that does complicate things. And I think, you might be surprised to find that I was an infantryman, but infantry has the highest GT score out of the ASVAB, general thinking score.
Mm-hmm.
The smartest guys in the military fucking go to the infantry for some reason. So these are not dumb people. These are thoughtful guys, maybe lost. Lost would be the most common term I use for infantrymen. Lost souls. But otherwise tend to be really well put together dudes. So, I say this to say, these guys are reflecting on this in more meaningful and deeper ways. And it is a lot more clouded of a thing. And, it can be tough for some people, and some people would argue if you're not sensitive to the 100 things that come with how nuanced this has become, then, you got sociopathic things. And then, you wrestle with that. So yeah, man, it's a rabbit hole. But I think the solution is always just taking good medicine. And I think that's always easy enough if you look at things with character. So,
things are just swirling around in my mind right now. If you forgive me here, Larry, it's as you pointed out, it takes someone of a high IQ to do the things that an infantryman does. Wouldn't it make more sense? And forgive me for saying this, because it only, as one high IQ to another would say, wouldn't it make more sense to put a sociopath in the role of an infantryman if you just want him to go out and kill? Because here's the way I see it, and correct me if I'm wrong. You put someone of a high IQ into a war, you're dealing with someone who's, if they have an high IQ, they understand what the mission is. They understand what they're going to do, but they also see all sides of all things. And they're going to eventually realize that they're going to go up against their morals at one time or another in some situation. And that's the beginning or laying the seeds of what eventually becomes post-traumatic stress disorder. Am I right?
So I am a good storyteller. I'm a better than average shot. And I'm a pretty clutch friend, but I'm not a psychiatrist or psychologist.
Okay.
So I don't like to dump too much into that. But what I will say is there's a great book called The Tribe that talks about PTSD. That's my first step for everybody with that.
Mm-hmm.
My second one would be the mantra I learned from the military, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. I have a successful software company. I have a hedge fund where I manage assets, and I run a maritime security firm, as well as a gun range. So, like, I'm a serial entrepreneur, and all the tools that I've needed to succeed in those spaces have come from the toolbox that I cultivated in the Army. I will say I learned in the Army to be of service to the mechanism. And I don't think sociopaths can be of service to anything but self.
Okay.
And I think you will find people who are competent assets to a team who have psychopathy and issues like that. And I think you have to adopt a certain psychopathy to get into warfare anyways, although some could argue otherwise. But all that being said, I think they always tend the nature of the system tends to weed out guys like that.
Okay.
Because like this isn't like an office where Jane fucking steals ideas and pitches them and everybody gets salty. Like I know a lot of guys will yell the new Army soft and this and that, but get away from all that.
Right.
The military is very good at like, all right, I'll say it like this. The guy who wrote Conan was a really smart cat. Mm-hmm. The original Conan, the barbarian comics and novels.
Yep.
He's got one of my favorite quotes of all time. Savages are more courteous than sophisticated men because savages know you can be punched in the mouth for what you say.
Mm-hmm.
Military in the combat arms section has a way of weeding that shit out. It corrects. It's its own medicine.
Okay.
So I think, I think movies can romanticize that. I'm sure a clever sociopath could get through the weaves. They're smarter than me. But for a whole, the system tends to regulate itself really well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so enviable about it. And then as for PTSD, the seeds for it, obviously there's trauma of 1,000 ways that can be the catalyst for that and the place of germination for where all these things come from. But, I have found for me, it PTSD, like in the book, How the Stalker, right?
Yep.
The monster's the stalker. All right, y'all. So the weird thing about the stalker is sure, it's like this cool, badass monster, but everybody sees a different thing because what it does is it embodies a reflection of your greatest fears to innervate your character in that weakness of scared, And I think PTSD is the same thing. My PTSD came up through anxiety. What ended up happening is like, all right, you're my commander, right, Tim?
Sure.
You say, hey, Larry, go get your ID today. Yeah, mm-hmm. Rod, check Raj. I get my PT done. I get over 300. You're happy. Larry's a PT stud. We go to the range. Whap, shoot the dick off a fly at 300 yards. Yep, Larry's a shooter. Happy. Larry, go get your ID. The guy at the ID says, I can't get my ID today. I go, well, you need to go get your dad to tell me that. And if your dad tells me that, hey, I'm Sergeant so-and-so, you can't get your ID. I go, excellent, stay here because I'm going to go get my dad to hear that. And then I'll get new orders. And basically from that, I'll get new orders and my day will be done. It'll be complete. Okay. Well, what happens in the civilian world is you don't get that. You don't get that kind of consistency. You don't get that kind of regularity. You don't get that predictability.
Very true.
So like, if I don't get my ID done and I don't get the prerequisite things I need checked, the military is going, hey, soldier, you got to get that. Like, it wrenches the anxiety up. There is a system that does not want to move without you checking this box. Right?
Right.
So I have all these mitigations and contingencies to go to make sure I don't interrupt the system. In the real world, the DMV lady says, hey, eat rocks, kick rocks, whatever. Now that's anxiety in my head. I get hooked on that.
Okay.
And I'm in a new system now, a new organism that doesn't adhere to that. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
So for me, it became anxiety. It became becoming manic. It became being this overwhelming push ball of energy, So I think the thing that's tricky about PTSD is it'll get you no matter who you are. It's coming with you.
Yeah.
So
I get that. And, you know, I'm trying to think of another good way of putting this. The fact that the world is so unstructured, unorganized, and that we all have different levels of operating, for lack of a better term, it's chaos. The world is chaos. And in the military, you've become so structured that you've come to expect everything to be a certain way, as you just eloquently put it. I could see where that just turns your world upside down the minute you come out.
Tim, I promise you, if you walk out of that door every day and put on this hat, all the chaos of the world will be controlled. Well, you're going to love that hat. And then all of a sudden when I go, hey, I got to take that hat off, the first time 7-Eleven fucks your coffee up, it's a hit, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, listen, the same thing happens with pampered rich people. They have emotional crises over the smallest thing, but because they've never dealt with issues, small things to them actually resonate at the same frequency that real trauma does to you. Mm-hmm. So it's just a matter of scale. Well, look, man, you could be Billy Badass, but that now becomes like a shriek. It's not like, now granted, I know there's 100 salty veterans right now going, oh, I don't care about my coffee. But the point I'm making is you take that system away from anybody and it's deliberating. It's, deliberating. It hurts.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. And I can see the point. I completely see the point. Because I think, especially if you're a career military person, you take to it like a duck to water.
Yeah.
It becomes a part of your life. Especially if, shoes are spit shined, uniform is in perfect order, your quarters are neat and tidy. The minute somebody throws something on the floor, I'm sure it's a crisis. Or you can't keep a house, or you can't, or you can't keep bills paid, or you can't, or life is not neat, tidy, and orderly. I'm sure things are. You must look at that person and go, well, what the hell's wrong with you? Why can't you do things like this? Because I've been doing it my entire life. So I completely understand where you're coming from there. I tell you what, let's take our break right here, Larry. When we come back, let's get into what brought you from where you were serving. And you know what? I do want to get one or two stories from combat from you, or some unusual stories that you transferred over to the book, or maybe something from your life in the military that you might have transferred from your days in the military to the book, or maybe some experiences. I'll have you think about that for a second. We'll come back with that. And then we'll get into the two books, Blunt Force Magic, and the new book, which is out there, which I read over the weekend, Destruction of Justice. And by the way, folks, you can check out Destruction of Justice at wildbluepress.com. We'll have links for both in the description of the show, so you can check out both. And I want to get into that a little bit, get into the two books and get into what kind of fired you up about these characters and what gave you the idea for these characters when we come back. Our guest is Lawrence Davis. Again, you can check out both books in the description of the show. More with Larry Davis in just a bit. We're going to talk about the two books, Blunt Force Magic and Destruction of Justice, coming up in just a bit. We're also going to talk a little bit about Larry's military service and what inspired him from his military service that he put into these books. It's coming up next on The Best in True Crime Podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. Welcome back to The Best in True Crime Podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm Tim Dennis. Our guest is Lawrence Davis. He has two books out there that we're talking about, two in a series of three. The third one to come out shortly. We'll talk a little bit about that later in the program. Blunt Force Magic, and the one we're talking about today, Destruction of Justice. We'll have links in the description of this program, but if you want a sneak peek before the end of the program, you can go to wildbluepress.com. Larry, before the break, I teased that we were going to talk a little bit about military service, and maybe you might have snuck a little bit of your experience into the book a little bit. Could you tell us maybe a story or two and how some of that service experience got into the book?
So, all right. First of all, to answer that, I'm going to answer how I became a nerd.
Okay, sure.
grew up in the WWF Attitude Era. Loved wrestlers and stories. My mom, Debbie Davis, shout out to her. She's the best. Identified that. And when I was kind of getting off the rails as a kid, I was a hellion. I was a terrible fucking kid. I was a really bad kid. Okay. Like my parents don't get enough credit. I was a nightmare.
Now, were you the kid who at school flipped the middle fingers like Stone Cold, or did you do the suck it thing, dude?
Flipped fingers, fought, like skipped school, lied. I mean, just the war. I was just that kid.
Okay.
But my mom knew I was smart. And I think she knew a lot of that come from boredom. So she started finding interesting ways to engage my mind and using sci-fi. And she put Lord of the Rings in my hand in sophomore year. And I just chewed through it. Then did the Silmarillion, did the Hobbit, did Lost Tales 1 and 2. Like I was really into it. And so I fell in love with Tolkien. And when I was in the military and when I was on my Iraq deployment, and I was at Fob Warhorse, I would write a lot in between time. Do you know what I mean? When we were on BDOC, base security detail, whatever we were doing. And, I always used to joke that I was like the knockoff Tolkien who cursed, you know what I mean? Because Tolkien wrote his novels in World War I in the trenches as a linguist. It was all a way to get his languages he created out. But, I was just scribbling down notes like how I would write a book. You know what I mean? I'm a big comic book guy. If we ever get to do another interview, we'll do it at my house and you'll see just a wall of nerdom.
See, I've got a bunch of comic books here at the crib too. So, I mean, we could go for days on this deal, but
dude, Jack King Kirby is my king for Pantheon building. Okay. I think where, Stan Lee, rest his soul, really shone was mid-level characters and character development. So the whole point was like, I was like this ping pong kid of like the early 90s with odes to the 80s and like this lost kind of generation of like, we didn't have like we had Harry Potter, but like, we just had, I think we had a whole blanket of people of community who were nerds and they didn't have anything to reflect that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what Stranger Things is curating. I think that's what this new drawl is.
Yep.
So, I got first into it with that. And so when I was in the military, I was always writing things down. And actually the character Grove is based off my still best friend and the guy I served with, Nathan Grove. I even named him. I didn't even change his name. Grove could hit me with the lawsuit like any day now. So, but he's my buddy. We talk all the time. And so when I started telling this story, I wanted to separate the totems of me as a soldier and me as a street kid. Okay. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's what Janzen and Grove became. And so the thing you kind of asked was like, what parts of my service did I put in there? I wanted to put a gritty realism in there, and I wanted to keep in a fantastic setting, but take away this, like, everything's going to be clean and everything's going to work out. A plan's a list of shit that doesn't happen. Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? And introduce that in this sphere. But I in the middle of like note taking in the military and then not writing and then writing again, when the story first started to come to light, it really, I think I put military systems in there the same way I subscribe military tenets to my companies.
Okay.
But like, it actually didn't become the center fixation. It became my fixation of all these characters who are totems of me trying to work synergistically to create a whole Larry and a mechanism again, so I don't think I even answered the question there. But.
No, you did. You did. What's interesting about Destruction of Justice and just going over one or two plot points kind of quickly and to deal with the crime aspect of this book is the having to do with judicial systems and the fact that they can become corrupt, and that you can fall on the wrong side of the law while still being innocent and trying to prove your innocence. And this having to do with a kind of a sci-fi version of the judicial system and dealing with powers beyond your control, yet still trying to gather the evidence to show that you're innocent. But doing it in a really cool, supernatural sci-fi type way. And throwing a little bit of for our paranormal audience on Wednesday and Thursdays, throwing a little bit of the paranormal in there as well. And using magic and using some supernatural entities as an enemy, which I found really refreshing too. I mean, it was all in there. Which I tip my cap to. I can't get the words out. I'm sitting here thinking as we're talking, I wanted to spring something kind of cool on you, and I'm going to do that right now, and I'm just going to totally put the program on halt for a second. I was at Wizard World a couple of years ago, and as you know, we lost a couple of huge comic book creators over the last year and a half. One of them being Neil Adams.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And a few years ago, actually, I had been talking to Neil Adams on and off for the last couple of years. Neil had been putting together a film on Sasquatch. In his spare time. Over the last 5 to 10 years, he'd been slowly putting together footage along with a friend of his. And he said, I met him at Wizard World, and he said, and I told him what I did for a living. And he said, I should be on your show. And I'm like, I want you on my show more than anything. Even if we just talk comics, I just love to talk comics. He goes, no. I want to talk about this film. He said, I have the most amazing piece of footage, and I have these clear as day pictures of Sasquatch. And I said, get out of here, you do? And he goes, yes, I do. He said, I don't have them with me, but he gave me his card. And he said, call my wife, and we need to set this up. We never got it set up before he died. And, he was sick. He had diabetes as well, got sick, before he died, and he was unable to do the appearance, which is too bad. I mean, he never did get the film made, but it was just, I really wanted to see the evidence. Anyways, I got way off track with that.
No, I could help us get a full circle. So watch this.
Okay.
First off, the comic book world building is some of my favorite world building. And it's what I think everybody's trying to find now, this blend of how do you bring comic books' ability to construct a world with like science fiction's ability to tell these new and pioneering stories, but give them enough kind of concrete realism or groundedness that we can identify with, so that we can now have our own properties. We can have another generation of Harry Potters. We can have a Star Wars that's not remade for the 50th time.
Yes. Yeah.
So, I love the comic book guys are bigger motivations for me than like, I love the Dresden Files, but I'm not like a big Harry Dresden guy. Like I've read a couple of the books and I like them a lot. I love Harry, but like, it's not what I'm aspiring to do. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to quietly tell a flagship story that builds a pantheon that we'll actually explore later. Yep. So that's kind of the first thing. The second thing, I use my background as a security agent because one of my favorite fucking arguments I've ever heard was a detective and a psychic, as opposed to I'm a flexible mind, but I'm very you got to show me shit to get me there. Right. But I'm very cool with it. Like, yeah, I believe it's Sasquatch. Cool. I don't have enough dogs in that fight. Yep. But like a psychic and a detective, they get into it, right? And at the end of it, she starts going, do you guys know in Detroit, you only solve 12% of your homicides, in Miami this? She was like, the statistical probability of, because he kept saying there's a 1% chance of this and 1%. She basically identified with the amount of crimes you don't solve. You're basically verifying that 5% of them happen supernaturally. And he just sat there because his own math got used against him. So in the books, I try to point on that a lot. Like, hey, they don't have enough resources to understand this and this. You know what I mean? And even though obviously I'm asking you to take some leaps with me, you don't know how many cold cases are, this is just fucking weird, by the way. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because there's a ton of them. There's YouTube channels and all these other things. Subscribe to them. And so I play with that a lot, and I use my actual knowledge of that kind of inner workings and those stuff to give myself the freedom to create in those pockets. Now, I will say, I'm going to take my property to places other ones don't, and I'm going to do some things that really break the modus operandi of these kind of storytellings in the future. So I'm not going to touch too much on it. I'm going to try to get myself back on the show, but you'll see book 3, 4. Like, I'm going to do things different. I'm going to really try to world building, which creates some shakeups. And then finally with Sasquatch, I don't know where I fall on that, but I will tell you, one of the most honorable men I've ever met in my life, who has never exaggerated a story, even with the beer in his hand. Like 2 weeks ago, he's a Marine Force Recon guy, very, very decorated. I'm not sharing any of his things. Okay. Told me that they canceled the war game because there were unidentified creatures fucking with them, and they couldn't get anything down, and they just knocked it off. Really? So ever since then, I've been on this weird Sasquatch kick for like 2 weeks. Really?
No, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I
like the journey, honestly.
Yeah.
When people ask me, I love conspiracy theories. Yep. But I'm very grounded, and people go, "How do you square that peg?" I love the journey. I love the story. It's not. Yeah, man.
Yeah, you know, I do a conspiracy theory talk at different conventions and things like that. It's very easy to stop short of falling down the rabbit hole and going, pardon the language, batshit crazy. You can square that peg. You can look into a conspiracy theory. You can be, what's the word I'm looking for here? You can be centered and look at a conspiracy theory without falling for it. You know, you can take a good look at it. You can look at all sides, and you can decide whether you buy in or not. And then you can put it aside. You don't have to become cult-like and decide that this is for me. I'm going to buy all in. I'm going to throw all my money at it or do whatever. You can just look at it and go, you know what? It's intriguing, and leave it alone. So I tell somebody once, I can oscillate between being very articulate and kind of trying to throw some verbiage in there that I like, kind of throwing off people's motive, their OODA loop. Mm-hmm. But I had a friend of mine once asked me about my intuition, and I said, "Oh, magic." She gets all mad, she gets annoyed, and finally I go, "Well, I feel then I've cultivated a sixth sense because I have a borderline eidetic memory. I've done these duplicity trainings. I've done deception training over here. I myself was a storied liar for many years, so I understand natural cadences of that. Like you went through all this stuff, fascination with micro expressions, living in several different cultures and assimilating them with an open mind, like all this other stuff." Finally, she went, "Oh my God, so it's like," and I go, "Oh, it's magic." You know what I mean? Sure. So, I think whenever I go into a conspiracy theory, when I shut it down, I go, to my mind's understanding of how this stuff works, that can't be real. But keep having fun with it. Yeah. Someday somebody might say, "Hey, there's a frequency out there that only Scottish people can hear that create banshees, and all your loved ones can come back because they're not that mean." Well, that's a weird leap, but here we are. Yeah. Yep. I mean, I have tough times sometimes sitting in an airplane going like, "This is fucking metal and we're flying." Everyone's like, "Yeah, propulsion and weight." And I'm going, "Yeah, shut up. Like, this is metal flying, I'm glad I'm not the only one who has that thought. I've been up in the air and gone, we're being, there's rocket engines that are just basically throwing us through the air, and we're sitting in a metal tube, and how do we come to a stop? Yeah. And you could break all the science down to me, and I'm not a dummy. I could explain rifling to you and apex trajectory and a bunch of other cool stuff. Sure. So like, I'm in adjacent fields, but there's a part of my brain that's just like, we're just flying in metal. Yep. We're just being thrown through the air, and we're hoping we're going to stop. Yep. Yeah, I do that every once in a while too. And I psych myself out sometimes, and I probably shouldn't. It's not a good thing, because there's solid science to back it up, and I should just probably sit back in my seat and relax. But sometimes I don't. I just don't. Some of us do podcasts about the weird. Some of us write books of make believe, dude. However, you got to get the let out. Speaking of magic, and I'm glad you brought it up. There is a lot of magic in this book, which and I'm impressed with how you balance the magic in this book with the contemporary weaponry, with, and there's one in particular I wanted to ask you about. That's the broken bat with the, what do you call it on the top? The, help me out with the
sigil.
Yeah, the sigil on top.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration for that? Because first of all, I go broken bat, which is kind of interesting, but then you put the sigil on top of it, and what was the origin of that? First of all,
you're gonna laugh. IEDs. Okay, this rocket doesn't work anymore, but I can make a bomb out of it still. So I always imagine if magic is supposed to be somehow harnessing energy through science we don't understand, right? Mm-hmm. Well, what happens when the tech doesn't work? Or what happens when a bunch of barbarians get their hands on it, you know?
Okay.
Like, for instance, he has so for everybody at home, he's got a bat that has an absorbing sigil on it. And what he does is he beats things up and it absorbs the kinetic energy so he can have one big swing on it and it'll release energy. So it absorbs things. Well, a monster called the Stalker cuts it in half and it absorbed the magic that's in their nails that makes their nails able to cut through their claws through a lot. So now this bat end is as sharp as like a super sharp little knife. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I just always kind of like the idea of like magic going a little haywire and just kind of using what you got around you. And, I like to play with the themes of how magic comes to life in our reality. And so, I tell people that I am not a success story. I am a very dogged and consistently failing up story. And so I like to pepper the book with, little themes like that. We're like, oh, that didn't work the way I thought, but, we'll do what we can. And plus I thought it would be a very cool kind of signature thing too. As you know, the character is not a traditional archetype for like your hero, not even your anti-hero. Like, yep. I really wanted Janzen even if you tried to call Janzen an anti-hero, somebody would like, not really, because he was kind of a good guy, but like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So
explain Janzen to our audience and what type of person he is.
Oh, Jansen's doing his best. That's what he's just trying his best. Janzen is a rough kid. So Jansen's story is kind of a rough kid life. Does some dumb stuff, gets on the right track. And the crux of this story is, so I don't know if you're a Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan, but so the first thing when you say contemporary weaponry, I always appreciated in one episode of Buffy where they're like, there's this unbeatable demon and she brings a rocket launcher and shoots it. And everyone goes, well, where'd you think of that? And she goes, well, he was unbeatable in 5,000 years ago. Mm-hmm. But like, has anybody ever hit him with the Moad? Maybe he's not so unbeatable anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So I always like that. But Janzen is almost how I would envision some of the secondary characters, the Robins and the Alfreds, the Batmans, the Lois Lanes, even, the guys who are getting behind a strong leader. So Janzen is an artificer and he makes weapons that use sigils and things like that. So he's not terribly talented, but he can put a series of things together. And let's say you're a mage, well, you can charge a weapon to do a certain thing. So, in theory, Janzen is a really good support character, and the heroes he's supporting all get waxed. They get killed in a really yet to be defined kind of ongoing thing. And Janzen, who was already a guy kind of walking uphill without the guidance and structure and things like that, much like a soldier having to get out of the military, doesn't have anything to do, just ends up at bars too much and, all this other stuff. So like I said, whereas Grove is probably me identifying with the soldier aspects of my life and using Grove as a conduit for that because he's my best friend and I still talk to him to this day. Mm-hmm. Janzen, I think, was a lot of my human and personal struggles with it that I identified more on just a Larry level. Do you know what I mean? More regarding me as a person. So I would say that Grove was my aspiration of service at times, sure, because it's more really a character based off Grove, because Grove was my best friend. Grove was the soldier I always tried to be. Okay. I was a much better soldier than I should have been. Like, I wasn't really meant to be a soldier. I probably should have been a bartender or gone to college or something else, Mm-hmm. But I ended up being a much better soldier than expected. And every day I kind of just did that. What would Grove do? Like, Grove would get up early, he would work out, he'd make his bed. Like, as long as I was doing what Grove was doing, I was a good soldier. But interestingly enough, as Grove wanted to grow more as a person, he used to come to me about shit. So we were a yin and yang.
Okay.
So Grove and Janzen are really a continuation of that yin and yang that he and I had, in that dialogue. And so Janzen, I think, is, you're the best part of your failures. You know what I mean? The good intent of them. So I've written a lot of characters. I write my own stuff a lot. I've done a lot of fan fiction over the years. I've actually been a part of a couple programs for the VA that I've authored. But Janzen is my easiest character for me to write, even though it's not always easy, because, he's just the very human sides of my own struggles. So
very interesting. One of the things that I love about Janzen is his ability to find the center of everybody and relate to them and pull them in, so to speak, to see a common goal and say, hey, you know what? I need your help. And I can get along with you. We can get along together, even though the people that I'm surrounded by and are helping in the same common goal may not be your cup of tea. We may not all get along, but we'll get along for this cause, And in the book Destruction of Justice, they all seem to kind of get along, although they're different people. They're way different people. And had you put them all together in a room or in a bar, they probably would fight. They're probably going to fight. Yes. They're probably not going to get along. They're probably going to tear each other to shreds. But because Janzen is there and he's doing this teacup spinning thing where he's got everybody balanced and they all have a common goal and they have him there, they seem to work as a cohesive unit, which is interesting.
What do you think a platoon is? It's a bunch of throwaways and outcasts from all over the world that don't got enough credits amongst them to create a GED, all having to come together and do a series of complex things to accomplish missions, so that came a lot from military. And also Janzen makes a lot of assumptions because he's perpetually in motion. But what I try to do with Janzen, what his, to me, real superpower is to keep momentum alive and to push even in the tough times, which means you have to be reactive, intuitive. But when he gets something wrong, Janzen, for a character who talks a lot and tries to be pithy and funny and one-liner-esque, when he gets something wrong, I try to really emphasize how well he listens. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
And so what I try to illustrate in that one little thing is Janzen can be better than the sum total of his parts because he stares what you could argue is his biggest weakness right in the eyes when anybody points it out to him instead of fighting him. When the other stalker that they're going to work with kind of says something like, hey, you treated me a certain way, he went off. Like, he doesn't go, fuck you. Like, he goes, let me sit in that. For like when, it's ironic that Louis C.K. said this, given how everybody felt when whatever happened, but he said, when somebody tells you hurt their feelings, you don't get to tell them they're wrong. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So I think Janzen has a rare streak of emotional intelligence that is hard to credit because of his surface behavior, and it's highlighted in those moments. And I think that's what allows him to be the leader. It's the same reason Captain America is the leader of the Avengers, even though he's, eight of the 9 members could walk his ass down the street any day they wanted. Yeah. It's because, he's being of service in a different way, and he's symbolic in a different way, and he's listening, and they trust that to work through him. So Janzen, he's not doing it perfectly, and he's way out of his weight class, but he's the only animal in this ecosystem that does that. So they're deferring to him,
Right. Tell me, Larry, how did you come up with the system of justice for destruction of justice? How did you decide that, we've got to have the person who's being oppressed by justice in this? Obviously, you've got to have an antagonist here, which would be the system of justice itself that's kind of crumbling and getting it wrong. How did you decide that on this particular system of justice and how it would be established? What was your motivation?
So bureaucrats keep the military going. Suits in the way bottom of the intelligence things, according to conspiracy theories. Mm-hmm. Like the accountant keeps everything really going. The legal, like, it's always the guys you don't expect. So I always thought it would be interesting if, this balance of power is kind of Janzen and his motley crew are a caricature a bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you pay attention, Janzen goes, you guys can't go too far left or right because, the real life cops will get involved. Or like, we're going to anger this supernatural force,
Yep.
And the same thing on this higher level. I think the governing bodies are cool because they're very matter of fact guys. And if you've ever been a project manager or a manager or a team leader, you can navigate the gray because you can get into the nuance of this one little thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the regulators at the 30,000 foot view, they don't care. The minute you step out of that box, they got to cut that down because they're of service to their mechanism, which is higher. So I liked the idea of introducing, this almost unbiased governance above. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like if your gang fight, even if you're the Sharks and they're the Jets and you ended up being the good guys, if it killed 2 innocent people, everyone's going to jail.
Yeah. Yep.
So they're supposed to kind of be symbolic of that, but I tried to make the creatures that run that regulation as close to human and a little bit of a surprise turnaround for where they normally fall. But again, I like to credit that more with my thinking that the guys who go to work every day, do the full job, know where all the bodies are buried, and actually do the accountant and pay the tax at the end of the year, actually run everything. And they seemed like those kind of people,
Yeah, so. Absolutely. I don't want to give too much away about the book. I'll tell you this much, though. Janzen and his crew come up against what seemed like just unsurmountable odds left and right throughout the entire book. And it seems like it seems like although he has an overall plan, he keeps getting things thrown at him left and right that throw him off his plan, which makes the book almost unpredictable, which is what I love about it. There's no way you can read this book and say, I know where this thing's going. You just can't. Even 2/3 of the way through the book, I had no idea where, normally you go, okay, I pretty much know where a story's going, or you think you know where a story's going. I had no idea. I mean, I had to hang in till the very end. So to that, I tip my cap to you, Larry. It was a very entertaining read indeed.
The 2 comments that I've gotten the most, that I'm the most proud of too. Well, the one comment, I didn't see the ending coming. In the first book and the second book, I've gotten that a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where they were like, wow, and I'm like, yeah, you know what I mean? And the first book especially, I got a really positive reaction, which I was surprised because the first book has an ending that, we'll let people get to it, but it's not what you're going to expect it for that kind of thing. And I think the second book serves the same thing because at the end he's of service and look where he ends up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the plan's a list of shit that doesn't happen. And I like illustrating that. And plus I like the challenge of like, all right, so Jansen's kind of a secondary character. How does it go for Beat of Grizzly Bear? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's why I love the comments on, for those who don't know, Janzen at one point draws a bunch of hieroglyphs basically on marbles and uses them to mess people up, but at one point just throws them at people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He uses salt for a spell, but at one point he just throws it in a guy's eyes. Like it's what happens if you ever been in a fight for your life. It's what it really is, man. You'll throw a kitchen sink at somebody, you'll claw, you'll scratch, and what I try to actually illustrate is something that I try to teach people when I'm training, like guys who do executive protection. I don't do that stuff anymore. I train people. But what I try to tell some of them is, look, if somebody shoots at you, the only thing you should be thinking about is breaking contact because that's their plan. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're engaged first, you're at the midst of their plan. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So best case scenario, your preventive measures can de-escalate their plan or you can even beat out their plan. Worst case scenario, you're fighting good fighters who know that if you do what you're going to do, you're going to fall deeper into something. So 50-50, it's still a losing proposition to do anything other than break contact, get out of the fight. So if you watch, and what I'm trying to do is there's parts that are the plan that Janzen keeps moving and everything else, he's always trying to break contact. he's always just trying to get the hell out of there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I call it, tactical cowardice,
Yeah.
It's the best thing in the world. Live to fight another day. So I get to have a lot of fun writing that because I don't know, man, I don't think Jansen's ever going to be the hero where everything goes right for. I do try to make it a narrative device that you see him growing all the time because I don't want the same, slips on a banana peel. Like I do want I want us to experience in his growth the challenges that come in growing.
Okay.
But, I think naturally the world Jansen's in, the balancing act becomes, okay, I have this thing and I have to stay alive long enough to win. If I'm the boxer that's going to lose no matter what, I need to work my jab all the way to round 9 and try for that one punch, Well, even if it's only a 20% chance, you got to stick to that plan, which means for 9 rounds, you just survive. So let me ask you this, not necessarily in Jansen's world, but in the world in general, in let's just say in our chaotic world, let's not even say in the world of combat or organized combat. Let's say if I'm out on the street, and I got a guy who doesn't like me and I know doesn't like me and has something out for me. Is it better for me just to be on the attack the entire time if I'm going to beat this guy, or if he surprises me and he's going to try and let's call it what it is, just beat the shit out of me? Is it better for me just to run and fight another day than it is to try and beat him on his terms? Life's going to give you enough things to fight for. There's no reason to go looking for one. Always, always, always just try to extricate yourself from the fight and get away and get to safety. Don't listen to any part of your ego telling otherwise. But I will say that, God forbid, should you find yourself in a situation where violence is necessary, in the military they call it violence of action. General Petraeus very succinctly once said, be kind, be courteous, and have a plan to kill everyone you ever meet. What he meant by that was you be the best soldier, you be the example, you be the standard. But if you find yourself in that situation, you be violent as fuck. You be violent immediately, and you be violent as fuck. And that's actually in Janzen too. Like I said, it's same thing. Him and Grove. Actually, Jansen's more of a live wire. I think you see it better in Grove. Grove is very just chill. But you ever notice when Grove comes into a scene, he comes in fucking blazing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because when Grove is a soldier, Jansen's not. And that's true of me and Nate too. Nate was born to be a soldier. I mean, the dude was the greatest soldier I ever met in my life. But when he comes in hot because that's what time it is. So I guess if I was going to give it as blanket advice, get out of the fight no matter what.
Okay.
Always get out of the fight. Live to fight another day. But if somebody puts you back to the wall, make sure that they violently regret it.
Because we talk about self-defense in everyday situations. You're in a parking garage, someone comes after you. The first thing they teach you is to, defend yourself and flee, which is obviously the smart thing to do. But when you have somebody who has a vendetta against you, I mean, that's a never-ending vendetta. Nobody ever says, what do you do?
Hey, escalation of force, you let law enforcement know, you protect yourself. I'd much rather talk about it in the writing world because the real world's getting scary enough for everybody.
True.
And that's one of the things that's a theme. And it's actually funny you touch on that because this story very much has a beginning and an ending. I'm very pointed with what I'm doing. I'm very deliberate in how I'm framing this whole story. It was a big deal to me to get the Destruction of Justice is having a re-release January 17th. It's with the updates and the edits, and that's the one I would really encourage everyone to read. But a big thing that becomes a source of this that draws the two forces closer as it starts to become personal. It starts to become a vendetta. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It starts to become, you tried to kill my dad and now I'm coming to Iraq again. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of stuff. So if you ever find yourself in that in the real life, I know so many better subject matter experts than me in this kind of stuff, but I am one. You notify the police, you tell friends, You let everybody know what this person looks like and what their intent is. You shine as many lights on them as possible, because that's how you get darkness out of your life, guys. You put lights on it, whether we're talking about PTSD, whatever, like you shine lights on it. Having struggles with your health, but also severely depressed. I'm not going to tell you to change everything, but I'm going to tell you what I did to go from when I got really, really, really big and my health was really in risk. And I also was super depressed. I did 30-minute walks after every meal. That much I could manage, right? Mm-hmm. What I mean by that is shine a light on it. So my advice for any of this stuff when it comes into the real world, shine a light on it.
Good advice. Good advice indeed.
Thanks, man.
The book is Destruction of Justice. Again, we'll have links in the description of this show. You just go to the description, click on that link, go get yourself a copy. I know you said January 17th, that's the edit you'd prefer people to get, but by all means.
It's out now, yeah.
It's out now. If you want to get a copy of it now, I say get both copies, compare them. Why not, right?
Absolutely. Hey, yeah. I mean, I gotta push the book. That's my job. But,
that's right. That's
it's
right.
It's a story that, it's easy, man, because like one, it's a story that's a love letter to my own life, and in it I think there's funny dollops of wisdom. But two, like I've really enjoyed writing a story like this in a voice like mine. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you and I talked about before the podcast. There's a whole hodgepodge of nerds that aren't getting their medicine because nobody's speaking their language all the way, you know? And
True.
I'm not saying I'm catching all of them, but I think I'm going to resonate with an audience that has a love for this stuff and hasn't had a champion they could get behind.
Very true. And, you know, if I can pile on that thought for a second, I'm really disappointed by, and I think you'll agree with me here, Larry, if any of you have been reading comics lately, there are some good storytellers out there. There's no great storytellers anymore.
No, I think Jason Aaron's run with the Jane, like I really didn't like the new movie Thor. It broke my heart.
Yeah.
But I thought Jason Aaron, what he did with Thor and Jane Foster, I thought that was the closest we got to a beginning and end arc that really just bam, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, even when Homeboy came back to write Thanos, Jim Starlin.
Yeah.
And they literally had Thanos versus Thanos and Jim Starlin's one-off, and then in the regular in our version, it was Thanos versus Thanos.
Yeah.
I was like, I get it, guys. Thanos is the coolest thing. But, like, I think I'm with you in that, like, despite these, and listen, I love these guys. I love Cates. I love Aaron. Like, I'm a real, like, when you see my place, I'm a real comic guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I say this with love, but I'm with you, man. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? We haven't had
there hasn't been an event that's turned people on their ear for a long, long time.
Where you put the last comic down and you just go, oh, like, you know, everything. Yeah. You just go like, yeah, man.
Yeah. And there haven't been, you know, it's more now they put out events just to sell comics. They don't put out events because they're events, because they've come up with a really good idea that is going to put people on their ear. And that's unfortunate. And likewise, you know, now they're making movies with the name of these great events that were out at one time, but it's nothing like the event. And
Marvel's starting to fizzle out a little, and I think that's why.
Yeah. So it's.
I mean, listen, they're a titan, so I'm not going to tell them how to do business.
Yeah, true. But you know, and so you're the what was solid or really good movies are now becoming just kind of passe. I guess they're okay. They're still good, but they're not great. They could be great, but they're just good.
At the risk of sounding away, like my life's kind of gotten in a place where I can really do this writing a lot more meaningfully now, and I have really cool things I'm going to do with this story. But I've told people, like, Janzen's story, like, I'm going to prepare everybody. Janzen's story ends. You know what I mean? As stories do.
Yeah.
And it'll be the soil and feeding ground for hopefully more in this space. But, you know, I think it's important to have that. You know, I think that stuff makes it meaningful. I think the oldest thing in the world to pass on data points has been parables and stories. I think it's why they become such ripe grounds for our fun conspiracy theories, but even everything else from spirituality to intellectualism to you know, historical tenets being recorded in an impactful way so they survive, you know, in a legacy meaning. So, like, you know, I think I really have a deep worship of stories. Like, my religion is almost stories. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
And And so, when I look at these other things, like a critic feels like a shitty way of saying it because I'm trying to contribute, and I'm not a master. I don't know if I have a masterpiece yet, and I hope this story connects with an audience and gets the responses I think it really can. But the point I'm saying is, as a guy who always tries to paint and loves painting, if I point something out in another painting, it's done with love, Like I said, Cates, I think what he's doing with the symbiotes, I fucking love. I thought the new 52 with DC tried some cool things. I love that Todd McFarlane and is still trying to make Spawn relevant and dynamic to this day, and is still so meaningfully involved. Like, I love them all.
Yeah.
But I am with you. Like, I've been, I almost try to write this world a little bit like I imagine a comic book story. Yeah. Like, I actually write very much like that. Like, that's why there's the scenes that are in there. But I'd love one that like got people who don't read comics to being like, if I go, hey, World War Hulk, they go, oh fuck, that was cool. You know?
Yeah, it was a great story.
Superman died. Everybody knew what you were talking about,
Yeah, and now it's been 30 years, and instead of coming out with something adjacent to it, they just re-released it. So I mean, there's you could argue there's no such thing as an original idea, but we know that's not true. And with that, Larry, I want to thank you so much for being on the program today.
No, hey man, this was such a blast, and I appreciate the audience for hanging in there as we bounce around all the eclectic things that guys like us tend to be into.
That's right.
I really hope that they enjoy the book. Blunt Force Magic is the first one. Destruction and Justice, which is re-released January 17th. And I will tell you guys that I'm in the final stretch of book 3, so we're hoping to. I don't want to put anything on my publisher, but we're hoping that right on the heels of the re-release January 17th, book 3 is coming too.
Do we have a title for book 3?
No. But
okay.
I've insinuated that I have one, so you're outing me right now.
Oh, okay.
But I'll think of it on the drive home. No, I'm kidding. I'm the worst. I turn my homework assignment and I don't put my name on it. No, titles I always kind of try to do last because So, it's funny. It's why the January 17th version is a big deal to me, because the first run through of the book, I write the story I want to tell. And then I edit to make sure it sounds right. Then I take a step back, and for 6 weeks, I put foreshadowing in or throw another scene in to tell the larger story. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think, your telling will be a very concise version of the story, but then re-edited, you'll go, oh, this scene and this scene. I'm saying that because at the end of that final pass through, when I know what's afoot, then I decide where the title's going to live. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Blunt Force Magic's a play on the bat. Destruction of Justice is the play on how that starts going. As you guys can tell, they're not terribly clever names. I actually like to be real on the nose with my names. I kind of think it's like my own. I think it's like my own wink to the audience. Do you know what I mean? Like, because Janzen and them are like a failed clever joke. You know what I mean? I have
a running joke with friends and family that the catchier the name, you can make up a phrase and it'll make you laugh sometimes. And you go, oh, that'd make a great album title, or oh, that'd make a great band name. Sometimes it's just alliteration can get you, and it can catch in your head, and you go, you know what? I remember that because of this, or that really sticks in my head, or it makes me laugh, or you know what? That brings up an image in my head that, that's really creative. I mean, think of it. Some of the most iconic things don't really make sense. Star Wars.
Yeah.
Okay, but it describes what it is, and it gets you to the dance.
Get you to the dance. Yeah.
I mean, The Empire Strikes Back. Okay, well, we get it, but it's there, and it makes sense. So and really, I think actually the title of this second book is apropos. It fits.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
I liked it that it fit. I got a lot more kudos on Blunt Force Magic. People were really tickled by that one.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to find a little magic to put on this one too. But
there you go.
I'm really excited for this one.
There you go. Destruction of Justice. January 17th is what we'll aim for the final edit, and is probably the one that you're going to want to pick up. But if you can't wait, and you really want to get your hands on it, wildbluepress.com, I would encourage you to take a look at it. That's all I'm saying.
That one's out now, and like I said, Bluff Force Magic. And thank you so much, Tim. I actually, in a human level, enjoyed the hell out of the conversation. So
I did too. I had a great time, and we'll talk more, Larry, because we got a lot to talk about, man. Wrestling, comics. I mean, we go on and on and on, man. We on and on and on. We could go on for days. Folks, it's time now for us to, we can't lighten it up any more than we have, but we're going to change gears. We're going to bring in Beer City Bruiser. It's time now for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals.
It's Crayon News story time.
What happened with this dude, Christ Bearer? I heard he cut his penis off and then jumped off a balcony.
Suspect pulls gun from butt, shoots twice at Denver police.
What is your emergency?
I need help.
And what's the problem?
I'm too high.
You're too high?
Yeah.
It's that time you've been looking forward to. It's time now for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals. And in order to do so, we need to bring in a co-host. Let's bring in the co-host with the most, the BCB, the big cuddly bear himself, Beer City Bruiser. How you doing, Bruiser?
I'm doing fantastic, Tim. I'm actually in a really, really good mood. We had a good off-air conversation, comic books and whatnot. So I'm in the mood to talk some dumb crimes, stupid criminals.
I definitely need it. I need dumb crimes, stupid criminals. I need comic books. I need. I actually found 2 McRib today.
Did you?
I did.
Now that goes away, what, on the 20th?
It was supposed to go away on the 20th.
It was? Okay.
I found a McRib in the wild, my friend.
It was just out there roaming. You lifted up your gun, shot it, brought it home, cleaned it up, and ate it, huh?
That's right. It was God's way of putting his arms around me and saying, "I see you. I see you, my friend. I see you in your pain. I see you in your agony. I see you in your grief.
Everything will work out."
Shit. You got a different quarterback out there for us?
Thank God that game wasn't on here.
You know, this is how embarrassing that game was. CBS switched over everybody nationally in the third quarter.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I had to put up with Thursday Night Football, and that was an embarrassment. Because boo-boo face Rodgers is just not... He shouldn't have taken the extra couple of years. He's done.
I still would trade you Cousins for Rodgers straight up.
Oh, yeah, but you'd trade anybody for Cousins.
Yeah, well, come on. I would trade a Girl Scout troop for Cousins right now. They probably would be much better at quarterback. And they'd probably be a better offensive line, too.
Yeah?
Yeah. You know why? Because they'd set up a little booth with Girl Scout cookies and you'd keep the defensive line buying cookies and they'd sit there and eat it and you could just work your way down the field.
The smartest thing I've ever seen is outside of a dispensary, Girl Scouts setting up Girl Scout cookies.
Oh, you weren't. Oh.
I was like, that's an ingenious plan.
They are so smart.
They are.
I'm telling you, those Girl Scouts that are now taking over the world that way, they're going to run our government one day.
I agree.
And they are going to rule the world.
They are.
They're getting ready to rule the world. Girl Scouts one day will rule the world and we won't even see it coming.
No, because we'll be distracted by all the Girl Scout cookies.
That's right, because we'll be munching on cookies and looking at the ceiling and going into food comas.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you can't just order a few boxes. You got to order enough boxes to last you a year.
It's going to be them and the people who made the McRib. They're going to both rule the world.
I don't think it's gone forever. I think it'll come back in a couple of years.
See, everybody says that, but, you know, it's not the Rolling Stones. It's just not.
Well, I'm hoping it's like Kiss. I mean, what tour are we on for Kiss right now?
Well, see, that's the thing. You know, well, maybe you're right. I don't know. I was going to say half the people in the world don't like McRib, but half the people in the world don't like Kiss. So that may be... I know I just pissed off Kiss fans, but it's true. You know, you either like Kiss or you hate them. There's no in between. There's no people who just tolerate them.
Yeah, no, I'm a Kiss fan, so
yeah, I am too.
You won't insult me. I refuse to pay to go see them live in concert.
You know, I've gotten to that point now too.
Yeah.
If it's not
now, if this was 10, 15 years ago, sure, I'd shell out the money. But now, no.
If it's not the 4 originals, even now, and what are they, 83 years old or whatever they are? If it's not the 4 originals, I don't want to see them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. And they haven't released a new song in how long? Like, you guys have a good catalog. Just enjoy retirement.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm there with Motley Crue too. I had a chance to get free tickets for that Motley Crue, the Crue, Def Leppard. I had a chance. Yeah. Turned it down because I've already seen Poison. I've seen Poison a lot. And Crue, they broke their contracts. That made me mad.
I would have taken knowing that Mick Mars is as sick as he is.
Yeah.
I would have taken the tickets because I knew this was going to be his last tour.
My daughter saw him.
What'd she think?
She loved it. She recorded it for years before Ring of Honor. My entrance music was Kickstart My Heart.
Yeah.
It's just, you can't help but get up for that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so when they played it live, like, she recorded the whole thing and sent it to me.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, I didn't know you went there. She goes, why wouldn't I go here? I grew up on this. I'm like, that's true.
Yeah.
She did.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that John 5 is playing guitar for him on tour. Yeah. I think I might go see him.
John 5 is with them. I didn't know John 5 was with them.
He replaced Mick Mars. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep. At least
he's a fantastic guitarist.
At least on tour. They haven't said anything about a studio album or anything like that, but at least on tour, at least to finish up this tour, John 5 is helping him out. Now, there's been no talk of any album or anything like that, but yeah, he's the new touring guitarist.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Nope. They made me mad when they signed the contract and came back. They don't need the money.
True. They don't.
They all have side gigs. Nikki Sixx has 6 a.m., which is a fantastic band. Yeah, but then after that, really, what do they have? I mean, 6 a.m. is a good band, but it could be argued that there's not really anything there after that. No, I agree. I mean, Tommy just had the Hulu thing come out, which boosted his rate, because didn't he send out the dick pic right after that?
Yeah, but how
and everybody was shocked. It's like, wait a minute, 90s babies are like, hey, we've seen that before.
Let's have the tough the tough discussion here on Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. When does a dick age to the point where you don't want to see it anymore?
No, we've already discussed on Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. Nobody wants to see dick pics. There's no women out there that want to see it.
Not true. There are some women who are quite randy who want to see it no matter what. It's a very small part of the population.
Okay.
It's like 10% of the female population that want to see a dick no matter what.
Yeah. Well, every female I've ever talked to says no, because no matter what angle you shoot it at, it doesn't look good.
Well, it's
and I don't think any guy should ever do it, because you're not going to compete with Tommy.
No guy should ever do it. But there are, unless prompted. Even prompted, don't do it.
But there are what goes out, it's out there forever.
There are some women that like they still like seeing it.
Okay, well, good for them. It's still not a good picture.
They're very few and far between. They're like seeing a Bigfoot.
All blurry?
Yes. Yeah. Well, yes, they're all blurry. But they're very few and far between, Bruiser. They're out in the wild somewhere, but they're hard to find.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have yet to meet one.
I've met a few in my day.
Okay.
I hung with a wild crowd, though, my friend. But yeah, there's
I've received them from fans, and I've they're not I'm no.
yeah.
We were having a conversation one time in their locker room where I was talking to a couple of friends, Mandy Leone and Angela, and they were talking about how many they get, and it's disturbing because it's unsolicited. You know?
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't sympathize, because I haven't. And then my phone dings, and I looked, and I'm like, well, I just joined the club.
Yep.
And it was like for the next week, I just kept getting them. And I kept showing my wife, like, hey, look, I'm part of the club now.
Mandy kept sending them to you?
No.
Oh.
Fans did. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, boy, that's cruel and unusual. She kept sending them to you.
No.
Okay.
Fans sent it to me, and the first one was like, oh, look, there's my first one. And then it was like, okay, we can stop now.
Hey, this isn't charming anymore.
Yeah. I have one. Don't need to see another one. Mrs. Bruiser got a kick out of it. She's like, well, that's part of your fan base. I said, it is.
Yeah.
And I'm being polite. I said, hey,
it is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Not into that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not part of that 10% you were just speaking of, the elusive
Yeah.
Bigfoots of the
Yeah. I'm just saying that some people that's a turn on and some people it's not. And I should say most people it's not.
yes.
Yeah, most people it's not. Some very tiny, and I'm not talking in size on the picture, but a very tiny percentage of people out there they don't mind.
Okay, well, good for them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
To each their own.
To each their own. How did we get on this subject?
I don't know. We went from comic books to dick pics. I don't know how we got there.
I have no idea either. Maybe that's what they ought to start putting in comic books because really there's nothing entertaining in them anymore. Anywho, dumb crimes, stupid criminals today. By gosh, have we got some stories for you today, folks. Let's just start running them down, shall we? Because by gosh, they're entertaining in their own right. I will tell you this much. We are going to end today on, it's Thanksgiving week.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It's one of my favorite, all-time favorite weeks of the year. We're going to sit down to plenty of food, plenty of football, plenty of thanks for everything. By the way, folks, we are thankful for you. We should put that out there first and foremost this week. And yes, there is a brand new show on Thanksgiving this year. We're going to talk Sasquatch on Thanksgiving.
Ooh,
yeah,
that's a good Thanksgiving conversation.
Little Kinderhook creature for you on Thanksgiving is what we're going to talk about this year. But yes, we are thankful for you this year. And even if you don't have a place to go this year for Thanksgiving, you'll have something to listen to this Thanksgiving. So we're going to give you a little something back in return because we are thankful for you this Thanksgiving. A little friends, family, football, a feast. Lots of F words on Thanksgiving.
That is.
Not necessarily aimed at your family. So that'll be coming up on Thursday. Let's start it out right away here, Bruiser. A man, speaking of food on Thanksgiving, are you big on the sweets on Thanksgiving?
I am. Yeah. I like sweet potatoes with the marshmallow on there. Mm-hmm. That's real good. And then I'm a pumpkin pie guy. I know some people aren't. Yeah, so I know it's back and forth, but me, I am a pumpkin pie guy with some Cool Whip right up on top, and I'll take pumpkin pie over apple pie any day.
Really? See, when I was younger, I liked pumpkin pie, but then something changed with my taste buds.
Really? Yeah, see, no, I've always been a pumpkin pie since I was a little kid. My favorite pie is peanut butter pie, and that's been since I was a child. For I think it was like my 10th birthday, my grandparents took me out east. Yeah. We went to Amish country.
Yep.
And it was my birthday, and the Amish made me a peanut butter pie.
Oh.
And ever since then, I found the elusive peanut butter pie, and then I think it was 2 years ago, my mother-in-law found one, and it was like amazing, so...
As thanks,
pumpkin and peanut butter are my two favorite pies.
As thanks for the peanut butter pie, did you get everybody together and take a photo of them? I'm kidding. No, I'm going to steal your soul. Thanks, guys. Click. No, I'm kidding. For me on Thanksgiving, I'll go in this order. I'm going to go blueberry French silk, banana cream.
Oh, but you see, yeah, banana cream.
Yeah.
Yep, that's top three right there.
Yeah, my mother's father, my grandpa Lasker, loved banana cream on Thanksgiving. I love banana cream on Thanksgiving, and then apple. So
okay, yep. So well, and you're a Midwest guy, so
yeah. So
you put cheese on the apple pie?
Oh God, no.
That must just be a Wisconsin thing.
No, it's an East Coast thing. They do it in the East Coast too.
Do they? Okay.
Yeah. New Yorkers do that a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, I'm not a. No.
I've never either. Yeah. I know it was a thing always growing up, and when I mention it to other people, they're like, "Huh?" I'm like, "Oh yeah."
Oh no, I've heard of it, but don't do it. Yeah, no.
That's like I found out too. Summer sausage.
Yeah,
summer. That's a Midwest thing.
It is. Yes, completely. I did.
One of Mrs. Bruiser's friends said, "Oh, we put out a cheese platter, and it was the crackers and cheese and all that." And Mrs. Bruiser goes, "Where's the summer sausage? 'Cause that's a true cheese platter." And she goes, what? And she's from New Jersey. She goes, "Huh?" So she had to send her pictures, like, "You guys don't do this?" She's like, "Never heard of it."
No. No. It's very much a Midwest thing. The one thing that disturbed me, though, do you refrigerate your summer sausage or do you keep it out?
Refrigerate.
Yes, always do. But I heard something very disturbing. Somebody said summer sausage. The summer is the sausage you don't have to refrigerate.
I've heard that too, but I've never taken the chance.
Oh no, I wouldn't, and I never would.
I like the when it's got that little chill to it.
Yeah.
You take a bite into it, and it's got the good crunch with the cracker and the nice chill of the cheese and the summer sausage. I like that.
Yeah. I would never leave it out. That
would creep me out.
Yeah, to me, that's the first sign of a serial killer. Someone who leaves their summer sausage out to be eaten like weeks at a time. Yeah. I don't care if you put a plastic bag over it or plastic wrap. I think you're bucking for a psychopathy. Yeah. That's it right there. First story today, it deals with a little bit of the sweets or not so sweet reward for a sweet find.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. A man finds a candy company's lost $4.7 million check, and guess what he got in reward?
What did he get? Candy?
Yeah.
They didn't give him any money?
No.
Oh, come on. He didn't have to return the check.
I know he didn't, right? He got gummy bears and a cheap reward.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. I'll tell you this much. It was a popular gummy bear at that. If I were them, I would, I'd pay up is what I do.
Even if it's $100, it's at least something.
Yeah. Or you know what? One of those gummy bears for life thing.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, like here's $20 and you have gummy bears for life.
Yeah, something like that. So much for doing the right thing. It says here, a German man who returned a $4.7 million check to the sweets giant Haribo after he found it on a train platform was rewarded for his honesty with a few packages of candy.
Well, you know what? They're firing somebody, so they have extra money in the budget. They could have given it to that guy.
That's right. That's right.
Yep. Who leaves that check laying around?
Nobody. Anwar G told the tabloid Bid, "I thought it was a bit cheap."
Oh, yeah. We're with you, dude.
Yeah, we're all with you there. The 38-year-old Anwar said earlier this year he was traveling home after a visit with his mom when he saw the check on a train platform, apparently discarded and unattended. My God. How would you love to be that guy? Just $4.7 million laying there on the train platform as you're on your way home from mom's place.
I wouldn't believe it at first. I'd think it was one of those joke lottery tickets. You know, you ever done those where you scratch it, says you won $10,000, but to redeem it, you have to 1-800, kiss your ass or something like that.
Yeah. When he took a closer look and realized that the check was for $4,631,538.80, or about $4.7 million, he couldn't believe his eyes. He says there was such a large sum on it that I couldn't even pronounce it. And when I told the outlet, I don't blame him. I would have probably fallen over dead.
Yeah.
The check was made out to Haribo from, it says here, Rui, I believe it was, a German supermarket. The Good Samaritan reached out to the gummy bear maker to inform him that he'd found the check, and the company asked him to destroy it and send proof that he did. Once he'd sent...
They want that money.
Well, I suppose you can electronically send the funds as well?
You could, but I'm assuming when they found that out, they probably reached out to the original company and said, hey...
Resend. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they want... The original company probably wants proof that it was destroyed.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So they're not dishing out, what is it, $9 million then instead of 4.7?
Yeah, right. Once he'd sent along the evidence, he was surprised when he received, my God, you ready for this? He'd received 6 packs of Haribo products a few days later, an apparent non-monetary thank you from the company. And when I say 6 packs, I mean those bags.
Yeah, they're like $4.
Yeah.
At a gas station, right? So
Yeah,
he got $24.
Yeah, he got 24,
Essentially.
$24 worth of gummies.
He should have reached out to the original supermarket company and said, hey, I found this check.
Yeah.
You know, you need to find out whoever's in charge of your checks.
Yeah.
I also reached out to them. They sent me $24 in gummy bears.
Right. When Anwar griped that the treats didn't really measure up, Haribo defended the decision and said it was the standard package that we send as a thank you. Probably not $4.7 million worth of thank you.
Yeah, that's probably a regular thank you for, hey, we're running a contest. We need something for a winner.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Since it was a name check, nobody but our company could have redeemed it, the company said, so they could afford to be cheap.
He's not doing anything with it. He can't cash it. So here, he should be thankful. He got gummy bears.
So take our cheap-ass package as opposed to the one where it would have been an unnamed check where you could have took us to the cleaners.
And it was probably all rejected gummy bears, too. It wasn't like those good ones you can buy. Probably like 3 arms. And
Like the blue gummy with the white foamy bottom, that really crappy one where you put it in your mouth and you spit it out right away.
Yeah, and it's all deformed and bleh.
Yeah, and it's generally in the shape of like a fish or a dolphin or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably one of those deals.
Yeah, I don't like those at all.
No, those suck.
I remember for a while, Applebee's during Shark Week, they'd had the drink with those in them. You want more sharks? It's like, no, I don't want a shark in the beginning.
No,
it's disgusting.
Yeah. Why would I even want? I wouldn't order this normally, but it's Shark Week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And my daughter's making me. She loves sharks.
Yeah. And besides, you gave away something with it that I would normally not even have, but it's Shark Week. You weirdos.
And now we find out the company's cheap.
Yeah. Now
So you charging us this much money, we're not going to pay.
That's right. We should rename them from Haribo to Cheapo. There you go.
They're in Wisconsin. They took over the Jelly Belly factory, and they're changing it to a Haribo factory.
Oh, are they?
Which kind of makes me upset because I love going to the Jelly Belly factory.
Who wouldn't?
Oh, you do a tour, and then you get all the free stuff, and so good.
I know. Yeah, I love Jelly Belly. They're so good.
Yeah.
We move on. I want to party with these guys. That's all I got to say.
All right.
Hard partying baboons crash a woman's birthday getaway in a viral video. She says, I'm traumatized.
Oh, why? You got baboons partying with you. That's like the smoking monkey.
Everybody wants to party with monkeys.
I do.
Yeah.
I want a monkey. I want. Here's what I want. I want a monkey, and I'm going to trade in the monkey to ride Ziggy and toss me beer. So that way, when I do my entrance in Underwater Needlepoint, I come out with Ziggy with a monkey on her back, tossing me beer like Stone Cold.
Oh my God, that is the best gimmick ever.
Yeah, Mrs. Bruiser won't go for it.
Why?
She said the monkey will rip my face off.
Myth, complete myth.
Yeah, if they can throw feces, they can throw beer.
Exactly, and plus that is only overstimulated chimpanzees that do that.
Right.
The monkey you're looking at is probably like a capuchin monkey.
Exactly, a little one that can ride Ziggy.
Right, and capuchin monkeys aren't known for ripping faces off.
No, they're known for throwing feces, and I just
That's right.
say, hey, no feces, beer.
Yeah, you put a diaper on them.
Exactly. Yes.
Right, and you teach them to pitch the beer.
Yep. Perfect. And look, these baboons, they're partying hard.
They
So
are.
you know they like to party.
That's right. That means they're party animals, which is what it says in the first line of this story. These uninvited house guests were real party animals. See what they did there? That's original. Is what I say. Helping themselves to shots of hard liquor. Boy, they do know how to party, don't they?
They're doing shots, huh?
Yeah, shots. A
You
freshly
think one was holding the bottle and they're like doing like the body shots off each other, and one was twerking in the corner?
that would be disturbing, but cool.
Because don't baboons have the funky butts, don't they?
They do, yeah. The funky butted baboon. Actually, that sounds like a hell of a dance. The funky butted baboon.
Or a great band name.
Well,
The
it's
funky
more,
butted baboons.
it's more of a dance or a venereal disease. Either one. Hey,
It's the next pandemic.
You go to the doctor and you say, hey, I got a case of the funky butted baboon. Can I get some penicillin for that?
the next pandemic.
It is the next pandemic. We're all going to come down with a case of the funky butted baboon, and it's going to hurt. It's going to sting. Not going to lie. We're going to need some Farxiga for that.
Yeah, we will.
Actually, I think you can get the funky butted baboon from Farxiga. I think it's one of the side effects.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
the funky butted baboon.
It itches a lot.
It does. Yeah, you get a hole in your taint from the funky butted baboon. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I'm delirious. Helping themselves to shots of hard liquor, a freshly cooked brunch spread, and several bags of chips. A pair of bold baboons broke into a woman's rental home in, I believe this is Nyza, the K is silent, Nyza, South Africa, and nearly destroyed her birthday breakfast celebration. Who has chips for breakfast?
I don't know. That's kind of odd. That's not breakfast finger food.
No. Baboons just came inside our house, ate our avocados. We were making breakfast and drank our Hennessy. Oh,
they went high class.
Wow. Hennessy, you say? Someone's gangsta in South Africa.
Yeah.
Who has avocados with their Hennessy?
I don't know, but I'm waiting to see the Facebook selfies of the baboon holding up the Hennessy with like a handgun. Good falling.
And they've got a bandana tied backwards on their head. Pouring a little out for their homies.
Yep.
Estu Zoe Williams exclaimed in a now viral tweet on Saturday that they were out of Hennessy and they were out of avocados.
They drank all their Hennessy. Wow.
Wow. She then shared footage of the hairy intruders monkeying around in her Airbnb's kitchen. I'm traumatized, Williams confessed in a subsequent tweet, which scared up more than 84,000 likes. The post featured a video of a primate hopping from counter to counter, popping open bags of chips while she and her friends, or screaming friends, cowered in fear.
See, that was their problem. They got to show who's the alpha. They should have stood up, took the Hennessy, slammed that sumbitch back, looked the monkey right in the eye and went, "This is my party, bitch." In a separate clip with over 291,000 views, one of the badass baboons, now that's a bad name. That's a bad name right there.
The badass baboons is seen guzzling glasses of brandy that were left outside on the patio of the property. I love the name patio instead of patio. As Williams and her pals watch from a window. Gosh, they're such wussies.
Yeah, those baboons are like, man, we can have whatever we want. Which one do you want? Which one?
It finished an entire glass and almost left with the empty glass, she tweeted. Well, what?
He doesn't want to spread his germs.
Yeah, go out and take the glass away from him.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're all done. Just go out there and say, would you like some more? Can I take that from you? I already read that. And Williams' more than 4,000 Twitter followers, most of whom were sympathetic, found great humor in her monkey house of horrors. Life is hard everywhere. They needed that alcohol break, commented one user, amused by the baboon's unabashed swig of Hennessy. Someone said these things are human beings, but pretend as if they can't speak just to avoid paying taxes. Drinking Hennessy, joked another, adding a series of laughing emojis for emphasis. Others shared their own unexpected encounters with apes while on vacation. This is like a dream vacation.
I was going to say, I would love this.
We got to find a vacation spot, buddy, where we can drink with apes.
Yeah, I would literally just pull up a chair and hand him a cigar and be like, here we go. Let's do this.
Yeah, let's do this.
You and me.
Yeah. A monkey came to our table on the patio and took our Chateau Galo cake in Zimbali. Well, there we got a vacation spot.
Okay,
Zimbali.
let's go.
I haven't healed, one commentator revealed. Oh, suck it up, Buttercup.
I was going to say, this is like some rich people problems.
It is.
Like, if you're not healing from a monkey drinking your Chardonnay,
yeah, you
don't have real problems.
This sounds like a dream vacation to me.
Yeah.
In a statement to Storyful, Williams revealed that the jungle-dwelling trespassers strolled into her rented abode after she and her friends forgot to close the door behind them.
Well, see, it's their fault.
That's right.
In monkey speak, that's like, oh, come on in.
Yeah, it's like, come on in, have some Henny.
Yeah.
We had mistakenly left the door open while making breakfast when the two baboons entered, said Williams. They ate eggs, avocado, and bread before... Also, they had avocado toast before proceeding to pop the snacks. Aw. Luckily, she and her party managed to give the baboons the boot and resume their birthday brunch festivities. Ooh, Buffy. We eventually got them out by screaming and charging towards them, Williams added.
Well, they were also pretty like 3 sheets to the wind at that point in time. So they're like, oh, my God.
When they were outside, they drank the liquor that had been left there from the previous day. And what? See, they left
Why are they
liquor
leaving
out.
the booze outside? Yeah.
I don't know. And once the monkeys fled, she and her friends enjoyed a scenic meal outdoors. So they took food back outside.
Yeah.
They had it coming.
Those let the monkeys pass out.
I don't know. Restored, she captioned a video showcasing their seaside monkey-free breakfast. Spoiled assholes.
I'd want the monkeys to come back just to spoil their spoiled-free breakfast.
Right. Although I will say that I'm going to show you some pictures here. Let's see if I can get the pictures going here. I'll tell you this much though. If I were a baboon, I'd attack her. Just saying.
Ugh. Yeah.
You don't like her?
No, she's all right.
She's all right.
Definitely looks like a rich, stuck-up woman.
Yeah, I'd take her, Henny.
And she's using some serious filters.
Yeah, there's some filter action going on there. Well, here's the other picture of the other one. Let's see. There's one lady here, and there's some pictures. They took pictures of the baboons here. Hold on a second. Here's pictures of the baboons partying.
Now that is a boss baboon.
That's a boss baboon.
Because in the bottom corner one, you can see him staring right at her as he's taking the alcohol.
It's like, that's my Henny girl.
Yep.
I'm about to drink you.
Hey, what you doing? Look at me drinking your Henny. What you gonna do?
What you gonna do about that, girl? What you gonna do about that? There's one. Look at this picture here. This picture will make you laugh hysterically. Here's a baboon on the counter and the one woman wrapped in a towel.
Yeah, that's him staring at her.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think that's a towel. I think that's just a nightie.
Is it?
Yeah.
And she's just like, ew. Ew.
What is that?
Get off my counter.
Oh, you're spreading germs everywhere, you feces throwing thing.
I'm gonna have to pay the security deposit. Oh my God.
My father's going to be so mad.
Oh, she is just wearing a nightgown. I'm sorry. It's not a towel at all.
My daddy's not going to believe that you're here.
Oh my God. Just get off the counter. We were going to get on that counter later. Let's see. Here's the other one. This was the aftermath breakfast. They're like, oh my God, can you guys believe that baboon was on our counter? Let's just eat outside in peace.
Is she sniffing the food to make sure that
I think
she can eat it?
Yeah. That the baboons didn't rub it in their butt before they sat down to eat it. Yeah.
That's a nice view.
Yeah, it is. Oh, you're talking about behind her.
Yeah, well, she's not that. Those glasses don't fit her face.
No, those are big baggy sunglasses. This story it gets filed under irony of all ironies.
Okay. Someone was attacked with an iron?
What's that?
Someone was attacked with an iron.
Well, no, actually, I don't know if there's anything funny about this story. It's just, this goes under stupid as stupid can be for dumb crime, stupid criminals.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see here. A man who allegedly threatened a New York City synagogue is Jewish and the kin of a Holocaust survivor.
Yeah, that's some self-hate there.
Boy, is it ever. One of two men accused of plotting to attack a New York City synagogue is Jewish and the grandson of a Holocaust survivor, his attorney claimed in court on Saturday. 22-year-old Matthew Maurer was ordered held on $150,000 bail at his arraignment in Manhattan criminal court, charges of criminal possession of a weapon, though his lawyer asked that he be released on his own recognizance.
and go to therapy because he self-hate himself.
Now that's just stupid to ask that he be released on his own recognizance.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions here. Defense attorney Brandon Frazent said of Marr, who allegedly has been diagnosed with autism, bipolar disorder, anxiety, and ADHD. My client is of Jewish heritage. He resides with his parents and grandfather, and his grandfather, rather, is actually a 93-year-old Holocaust survivor. And my client is his part-time caretaker. Frizene is what it is.
So he talks to his grandfather on a daily basis and can find out the persecution that he faced.
Yeah.
And still wanted to commit this crime.
He's heard the stories.
Yeah.
Probably over
all that
and over again.
stuff that lawyer said should not lead to you wanting to attack a synagogue.
No. Marr and his pal Christopher Brown were busted Friday on the Long Island Railroad with Brown carrying weapons and a Nazi armband, according to police sources.
Yeah, the one guy won't be allowed to be a Nazi. They didn't. That was like number one on the Nazi application. Are you Jewish?
Yeah,
and if you checked yes, they're like, okay, sorry, move on.
Yeah, I somehow don't think he's getting into the club.
No.
Cops seized a loaded handgun with an extended magazine and a bulletproof vest from Marr's Upper West Side apartment that he and a buddy allegedly planned to use in a synagogue attack according to prosecutors.
Why? That's the question. Like, what is going on in these guys' lives that this is where they think they should go with it?
Marr's defense attorney, Brandon Frizene, argued that his client had no criminal history and said he's of Jewish heritage, which has what to do with the price of tea in China, is what I want to know. But Marr had no criminal record and his parents had cooperated with cops, his attorney said. Again, what does that have to do with anything?
Yeah, his lawyer's just trying to spew out as much stuff as they can to see what people bite on.
The accused had spent time in homeless shelters before moving in with his parents about a year ago, the attorney added. Based on that, Judge, my client should not be implicated in anything involving hatred towards his own people and his own religion, he said.
Wait, what? No. He planned, not only did he plan, but he had a huge arsenal to attack a synagogue and kill Jewish people. That is an attack on his own religion. Like, that's hatred towards your own religion.
Yeah. There's just
him being homeless and all the other stuff means nothing.
At the very least, a 72-hour psych hold and then your own personal holding cell.
Yeah. And this kid needs help. He needs mental help.
Yeah. Assistant District Attorney Emilio Hernandez said Marr and Brown traveled to Pennsylvania together and bought the gun with intent to use it in an attack at a synagogue. The FBI and NYPD had been on the trail of Marr and Brown, a diagnosed schizophrenic who recently told family members that he wanted to go to New York and buy a gun. Sources said the parents of this defendant alerted police officers to the existence of a firearm within the backpack of the defendant inside the defendant's apartment, Hernandez said. Prosecutors claim the pair were aware that police were looking for them and decided to leave the firearm in the backpack in the apartment. Marr's parents were in the gallery for the arraignment. As the defense attorney spoke of her son, her husband wrapped his arm around her shoulder. He's not what they are saying he is, his mom told the Post outside the court. His father declined to comment. Marr is due back in court this week. Brown is charged, 21, is charged with making terroristic threats, aggravated harassment, and criminal possession of a weapon, according to the NYPD. He was not arraigned this past weekend.
Good for somebody speaking up, though. Saying something so that a tragedy was avoided. That whole thing the TSA tells you, see something, say something.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%. Because somebody said something, a tragedy was avoided.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And someone might be able to get the help they need. He's a diagnosed schizophrenic. He shouldn't be allowed to buy a gun.
Absolutely. We move on. We're going to South Carolina, where a man pleads to tattooing a minor inside a McDonald's.
It's sanitary.
I thought it was Burger King where you had it your way, not at McDonald's.
He really wanted to make sure he got a McRib.
I wonder if it was at a McDonald's play place and they did it in the ball crawl.
In the ball pit where all the other needles are.
Yeah, exactly. That's where it should be done. A South Carolina man has pleaded guilty to charges that he gave a minor a tattoo while seated at a table in the dining room of a McDonald's restaurant. This according to court records. 29-year-old Brandon Prescia last month copped to a pair of misdemeanor counts in connection with the illegal inking at a McDonald's in Lorenz, a city about 35 miles south of Spartanburg.
How did this conversation start, I wonder?
I don't know. I'm going to show you the photo of the offender, who looks like he probably charged about 3 cheeseburgers for his work.
Yeah. I wonder if the conversation went, I'll take a 20-piece, give me a quarter pounder with cheese. I got my tattoo kit with me. You want one?
Prescia was convicted of tattooing a minor. Oh, by the way, I have a picture of the tattoo.
Of the minor? Oh,
no.
The tattoo?
No, not the minor. No. You tell me. Is that worth a Happy Meal?
It's a picture of the McDonald's tattoo. Wait, that's the tattoo you got?
That's the tattoo, yeah.
Who would? That's not even a good tattoo.
Yeah, I know.
It looks like a child drew it on a piece of paper. Like, hey, when you have a happy memory as a child, what is it? And the child's like, oh, well, my dad took me to McDonald's and drew it.
McDonald's tattoo.
The irony.
The 29-year-old Brandon Prescia last month copped to a pair of misdemeanor counts in connection with the illegal inking at a McDonald's in Lawrence, a city about 35 miles south of Spartanburg. Prescia was convicted of tattooing a minor and tattooing without a license. No. He was sentenced to 9 months in custody, but a judge suspended execution of that jail term in favor of 18 months of probation supervision. So he didn't even get jail time.
Which, it's a harmless. Besides that kid having a shitty tattoo for the rest of his life.
Prescia was also ordered to perform 30 hours of community service and pay fines and court costs of around $300. Prescia was freed on $25,000 bond following his arrest last August. Police learned of the McTattooing, which comes with the bigger Happy Meal when you order it, after a female customer, frustrated by a Friday night backup in the drive-thru line, peered into the restaurant and spotted Prescia applying a tattoo to a minor's arm. The woman recorded Prescia in action. I want to keep saying Kesha when I read this, but it's Prescia in action, and the video clip was subsequently sent to cops. As she filmed, the patron complained that Prescia and the tattoo recipient were, quote, out here doing tattoos instead of getting food orders out.
So they worked at the McDonald's.
Yeah.
They were employees. The manager? Yeah, I need to take a break. Why? Get some ink done, man.
I got a side gig over here at table 8. The minor who Prescia tattooed was an employee at the McDonald's. Of course he was.
So, yeah, I think it's like you said, hey, if you give me 3 cheeseburgers, I'll give you a tattoo.
According to police, Prescia's tattooing collar was not the first time he had been arrested at the McDonald's location. Oh, no, kids, there's more. In October of 2020, he was busted for allegedly stabbing a man twice during a confrontation in the bathroom of the eatery where Prescia's girlfriend was employed. Originally charged with assault and attempted murder, Prescia later pleaded guilty to assault and battery and was sentenced to 3 years in jail on that felony conviction. However, a judge suspended service of the custodial term and instead placed Prescia on probation for 2 years. So this guy keeps getting slaps on the wrist, and then they tattoo that slap on the wrist.
He should be in jail now. I didn't know he was on probation already.
Yeah.
So we went from stabbing to kill to stabbing to put shitty artwork on people.
Well, we all have to have a hobby.
Hopefully his probation doesn't allow him near schools with a tattoo machine.
Hopefully.
And his community service is, not tattooing people. Because that was a horrible tattoo.
That was a horrible tattoo, wasn't it?
Just because you can buy a tattoo machine does not mean you should be tattooing.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. Speaking of getting business done in the bathroom, not necessarily in a McDonald's bathroom, the quote is, "That guy just shot the urinal," announced the nightclub employee. You know, Bruiser, you've been in plenty of clubs and bars. I've been in a few myself. Never seen a guy take out the urinal with a gun.
Neither have I. I've seen people thrown into it.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And one of my favorite ones is in some bars I've been into, they put the bullseye in there. So you have something to aim at when you pee.
I saw a guy try to take a dump in a urinal once and broke the urinal off the wall.
I've seen that. I've seen a girl sit on a urinal.
Yeah.
She didn't break it off the wall.
An accident.
I've seen a urinal ripped off a wall and thrown at somebody.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Why was the Hulk in the bar that night? Interesting. An accidental discharge into a urinal has a North Dakota man facing criminal discharges. Again, no, it wasn't the Hulk doing his business into a urinal. It was 21-year-old Jason Petrock allegedly shooting his gun and shooting the bathroom fixture Friday night at the Whispers nightclub in Williston.
Why do I picture this guy? He had just watched like an episode of Young Guns or something, and you know how Billy the Kid does those fancy gun tricks with his hand? He's like, man, I saw this in a movie. Check this out. Oh, no.
Probably. The urinal did not survive getting plugged with a single round from Petrock's 45 caliber semi-automatic Beretta, according to the Williston Police Department report. Why do you need a 45 Beretta in Williston?
Because he's at Whispers, man, and Whispers is hardcore. And he just watched Young Guns and wanted to show everybody how he can do these cool tricks.
Petrock told cops that the urinal shooting occurred when...
The urinal antagonized it.
Even better.
The urinal kept flushing.
While he attempted to unload his pistol.
He was.
Aren't we all trying to unload our pistol in front of the urinal?
I know a guy who shot himself in the foot trying to unload a 22.
Seriously?
Yeah. We make fun of him to this day.
My God.
Why do you feel the need that you have to unload your gun before you take a leak?
Because he didn't want to. I bet you he didn't have it holstered. He had it sitting in his pants.
Because he watched Young Guns and was like, hey, check this out. But before I do my gun tricks and impress all you, I'm going to unload it.
He didn't want to shoot himself in the dick.
It's probably what it was, because he's never done it before and he was probably really drunk.
As Petrock ran from the club following the incident, a witness told cops that a club employee announced, "That guy just shot the urinal."
He ran away because he thought, shit, I killed him.
I killed the porcelain. Guys, we gotta go.
We gotta go now.
We gotta go.
I killed him.
I just fucking killed the plumbing.
Young Guns is such a lie. Let's go. They've only got one urinal.
Now they gotta sit down to pee. The witness added that Petrock was carrying the weapon after being accosted earlier in the evening by a much larger man that was wearing what looked like biker colors. Oh my God.
The guy was wearing a leather vest.
Yeah. Cited for discharging a firearm within city limits and malicious injury to property.
Good luck with that, dude. Wait, and he was in North Dakota, you said, correct?
And he was in North Dakota. Yeah.
So basically where Sturgis is, and literally the biker capital of the world, he thought a larger man dressed as a biker was going to accost him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you know what? No urinal should feel safe around this guy.
That's right.
His penalty should be he has to go and clean all the porta johns in the county.
But he has
to apologize.
He has to unload his pistol first. Yeah. Without a doubt. We're moving on to the food and restaurant section of our, like McDonald's wasn't enough, but we got a couple of food stories here. that are quite entertaining, actually.
We had that really good one last week with the lady assaulting the other lady with the tube of ground beef.
Oh, I know, right? Whenever you get smacked upside the head with a 10-pound tube of meat.
Yeah.
Which is what I like to call my love life. You think you can't top it, but we actually have a very stupid story coming up after this out of Florida.
Okay. Of course, Florida. Of course.
Because there are certain, well, you know what? I won't lead into it until we get to it. Yeah, we'll do this one first. Cops say an accused Waffle House wallet thief explained that the money was calling to me.
Rob me.
Normally it's breakfast at an early hour, or it's those grits, or it's something calling to you at Waffle House. Maybe it's the bathroom after you ate. I don't know.
You know how you're in a good Waffle House, right?
How's that?
When you walk in and you look around, all the employees can either A, beat the crap out of you, or C, all have prison records.
Oh yeah, that's true. That is true. Well, if they all have prison records, how are you going to be stealing?
Well, they didn't say he stole it from an employee. I'm talking employees.
True. After being arrested for stealing a wallet that a patron mistakenly left on a Waffle House counter, Juanita Morton reportedly confessed to the theft and gave cops an explanation for her actions. The money was calling to me, Morton declared. We are going to Florida for the story as well. According to Florida police, the victim paid their Waffle House tab early Monday morning, but forgot their wallet on the counter. The wallet contained credit cards and $2,286 in cash.
Why do you need that much cash on you?
You need some flashing cash, Bruiser.
You know, she should have returned it, and he would have given her a package of Haribo gummy bears.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's go ahead and rate for returning stuff.
Well, I think that's it right there.
$2,200? Okay, that guy definitely was buying drugs.
Yeah.
Or selling.
One or the other.
In Florida.
That's right. As recorded by a security camera, the 47-year-old Morton was seen on video looking around, putting her hat on top of the victim's wallet on the counter. She then slid the hat and wallet into her hands with discretion.
The good old hat on top of the stolen wallet trick. Oh, yeah.
That's right. Morton then quickly leaves the establishment while her husband and child are left inside the restaurant to pay, or just walk around the restaurant wondering where she went.
Daddy, why is Mom running out of the restaurant? I don't know, son. Let me pay her bill and find out. Yogi
Bear is her husband. I don't know, boo-boo. I don't know, boo-boo. Where did Mama go?
Boo-boo. Maybe she's going to take our picnic baskets.
Morton, who works at a nursing home, lives about 8 miles from the Waffle House in St. Petersburg. I bet you there's a bunch of shit missing from the nursing home, too.
Oh, yeah, because it's all calling to her. And what she doesn't realize is actually her child asking for money. Mommy, can I have $1 for the jukebox?
Or, Mommy, can I have $1 for the jukebox?
In my best boo-boo voice. Aided by the security footage, police subsequently identified Morton as the theft suspect. During questioning, police report Morton admitted to swiping the wallet, claiming the money was calling to me.
No, that was your child.
Yeah, it was. Morton was arrested on a felony grand theft charge and booked into the county jail. She was released from custody after posting $2,000 bond. Probably got it out of the wallet, is my guess.
I was going to say, she came out $200 ahead.
That's right. Morton's rap sheet includes 4 separate misdemeanor theft convictions. My guess is those fingers are a little sticky.
Yep. Somebody better check that retirement home she works at.
That's right. There's a bunch of stuff missing out of there.
And they need to find out whoever's wallet that was, because I'm pretty sure he's got a bunch of meth.
You think they searched his car?
I swear, like, who carries that much cash? You know what I mean? Come on.
Unless you're cashing your monthly check or twice weekly check or twice monthly check rather over at Walmart. I don't know.
So you cash your check and the first thing you do is go get Waffle House? Okay.
Hey, man, that's a white trash dream right there.
And that's Florida, so yeah.
Yeah. This next story stays in Florida. Now, let me tell you, Bruiser, when you get robbed at a fast food place, there are some things that are perfectly acceptable to just make off with. Go ahead, take the money out of the safe. We want to keep our employees safe. And there's some things, by God, you will pick up a broom and hit a burglar over the head for. You will put your life on the line for, just to keep that safe.
Okay. I'm curious to see what this is.
If you were in KFC, what do you think that would be?
If I'm in KFC?
Yeah.
Probably their famous bowl. They have good famous bowls there.
The famous bowl. You can have the money. Don't take the famous bowl. That hunk of shit in a bowl is potatoes and chicken and cheese and gravy. It's like white trash poutine. No, don't take the white trash poutine. The WTP.
Exactly.
Oh my God. No, you can take the famous bowl. It's fine. We'll make more.
Don't take my cell phone.
My cell phone.
Well, if they're robbing you, they're going to try to take all your stuff too.
No, you've swung twice and missed really badly.
All right, the secret recipe.
Yes, exactly.
7 herbs and spices.
Exactly.
Oh, is that what it is? Really?
That's what it is. A Florida man broke into KFC, and proudly it's been reported the secret recipe remains safe, my friends.
You can look it up online. Come on.
Don't tell people that.
I figured it out on my own because I was curious.
Don't tell people that.
Okay, I won't.
Yeah, don't tell people that.
If I was a sane person, I wouldn't look up the KFC secret recipe online, along with the Big Mac sauce.
Don't tell people that.
I'm sorry. I'm telling you, no, don't look it up. You won't find it.
Yeah, it's nowhere to be found. It's been stored in ancient books, lost to the sands of time. Nobody knows how to make this stuff except for in the store itself.
Why would a robber want the secret recipe? Like, it's not like you're gonna go home and make your own. I mean, here, honey, I just made us some Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Oh, if only you could make it yourself at home.
It still wouldn't taste the same. And, you know, because there's no love in it, and that's what they put in there. That's the secret eighth ingredient is love.
I don't want anybody's love in my chicken. That's all
Actually,
I'm saying.
it's probably bitterness because they work at KFC.
That's true. It's got ill will and feelings, and
yeah, and you're making it with love because you're excited. You got the recipe, or you just robbed this place. You got money in the recipe, so it's not gonna taste the same.
Plus, there's got to be the right amount of loogie in there too.
Exactly, and hair and rat feces.
Yeah, I mean, you got to get all that in there.
Yeah.
Detectives are looking for a man who burglarized a KFC in Tampa. The Tampa Police Department said the burglar was caught on camera sneaking and crawling into a restaurant chain on November 7th. He appeared to be a black male in his late 20s to early 30s and between 5'9" and 5'11". He can be seen wearing a black, white, and gray plaid hooded jacket, black jeans with tears, and black and white sneakers. Well, at least he matched.
And then it turns out that the surveillance camera is all black and white.
That's true. Yeah, it's a black and white.
Everything he's wearing is black and white.
Now I've got Michael Jackson's Black or White in my head. I don't know why.
That's what was playing on the radio when he did it.
It don't matter if you're black or white.
Which the music video for that is great with Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah. Maybe Macaulay Culkin showed up for the robbery. That could
Maybe.
Yeah. He went around picking up recipes for him. After a while, surveillance video showed the burglar taking cleaning supplies and wiping down the door before he crawled back out. Oh, he was trying to cover his tracks.
Well, yeah, he's wearing black and white for the black and white security cameras and then covering up any DNA he left behind.
Nice. This guy's smart.
Yeah, he deserves a secret recipe.
But he wasn't that smart. The police department assures residents, I know everyone's concerned.
Yeah. Tampa's in an uproar right now.
They are, but the police department assures residents that the secret recipe of 11 herbs and spices remains safe.
Oh, good. So they can still go to that KFC and get diarrhea.
That's right. Detectives ask anyone with information either about the herbs and spices or about the robbery that they can identify the man in the video. They want them to call them at 813-231-6130 and use the code word Colonel's Mixes.
That had to be the reporter putting in that as like the police didn't say that.
No,
they couldn't.
No, I put in the Colonel's Mixes.
No, I know that. I'm saying that the herbs and spices recipe was safe.
Yeah.
I don't think police did a press conference and went, all right, this is who we're looking for, but everyone be safe. The recipe is still intact.
The recipe is safe behind the safe.
I just love everything he has is black and white with the black and white security camera.
Nobody panic. The recipe is safe.
Come on down. Get yourself some diarrhea.
All of a sudden, you hear the theme for Dragnet. Dun, 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 dun.
Friday. Joe Friday.
He's on the
case. I watched it as a kid, and I love the movie with Dan Aykroyd.
Oh, yeah.
Dan Aykroyd, Tom Hanks, very underrated movie.
Very good movie.
It was a great movie.
Yeah. All right. We go to Alabama. This story is unusual. There's a lot of twists, a lot of turns, a lot of pregnant, not pregnant, could be pregnant, might be pregnant, should be pregnant, not pregnant.
Okay.
All because of one little girl. Never trust your children.
I agree with that.
That's the tale of this story here. An Alabama woman was jailed for using drugs during pregnancy when she wasn't pregnant. That, according to this lawsuit.
Wait. So did she break doing the drugs is against the law, but she's not pregnant.
It's against the law to use the drugs in Alabama while pregnant because you're endangering the fetus, but she wasn't pregnant.
Right. So she didn't break the law.
Technically.
Okay. Let's start this journey, Tim.
But there's more on soap.
I'm strapped in. Let's do this.
All right. A woman jailed in, I believe this is it Etowah County? Something like that, for allegedly using drugs during pregnancy, has filed a lawsuit against the sheriff's office saying she wasn't pregnant and that investigators placed a child's words over medical confirmation. Stacey Freeman of Gallant, or Gallant, I don't know.
Kids don't lie.
They never lie. Was under investigation by the Department of Human Resources for substance use, when one of her children told a social worker her mom was pregnant. This, according to the lawsuit. Freeman offered to take a pregnancy test, and Etowah County Department of Human Resources employee entered an order for one. However, she never took the test, and Etowah County Sheriff investigator Brandy Fuller issued a warrant for her arrest. This, according again to the lawsuit. Freeman was arrested for chemical endangerment of a child and booked on February 1st into the Etowah? Again, I don't know how it's pronounced. I don't live there.
Alabama.
County Detention Center. Her mugshot was circulated and can still be found online. She was released about 36 hours after her arrest and the charges were dropped. But her attorney, Martin Weinberg, said the ordeal was embarrassing and traumatic for his client. It's just.
Wait, did she eventually take the pregnancy test to prove she wasn't pregnant? I'm assuming that's why it's dropped, right?
You know why I love you, Bruiser?
Why?
Because you want to get to the end of the story before we're at the end of the story.
Sorry. I'm just going the natural route. Like, I have questions.
I understand that.
Back to what her lawyer said. All right.
We'll get there, my friend.
All right.
I know you're strapped in, but right now you're unbuckling. Don't unbuckle.
I'm into this story, and I want to see where this went, because this little brat decided, my mom's pregnant doing drugs, all because she couldn't, go to KFC and have a famous bowl.
The white trash etouffee.
Yes.
Just trust your buddy here. I'll get you there. Here we go.
Get me there. Okay.
Here we go.
Hopefully this whiny little brat went to jail.
Weinberg said, the attorney said, it's just shameful you can go off somebody's word that somebody's pregnant. It's easy to verify through a pregnancy test. Well, he's right about that.
Yeah.
The lawsuit names Fuller and Etowah County Sheriff Jonathan Horton. At the time she was arrested, Freeman faced the standard bond conditions for chemical endangerment in Etowah County, I'll just put it that way, that required her to put up $10,000 cash and enter rehab. County officials have ended that practice in most cases following reports in AL.com in September. Fuller and Horton have not yet responded to requests for comment. The lawsuit alleges that Freeman was on her menstrual cycle at the time of her arrest and couldn't get feminine hygiene products while she was inside the jail.
Yeah, because they thought she was pregnant.
Mm-hmm. It also said that after her release, Fuller warned Freeman not to get pregnant or she could face additional charges. Fuller... So they knew she wasn't pregnant. Fuller has been involved in an obscene number of arrests for pregnant and postpartum women, according to the lawsuit. Research by Pregnancy Justice, formerly known as National Advocates for Pregnant Women, found that Etowah County arrested and prosecuted more women for drug use during pregnancy than any other county in the state. More than 150 women have been identified by their researchers, and Fuller has been involved in most cases, they found. The Sheriff's Department and its employees have been reckless in investigating in making arrests of women for chemical endangerment and then encouraging their prosecution, the lawsuit said. The lawsuit alleges false imprisonment, defamation, and negligence by members of the Etowah County Sheriff's Department. It said investigators relied on the word of a minor child and failed to confirm the facts before arresting and jailing Freeman. As a result, Freeman suffered public humiliation. Weinberg said she still gets questions about the arrest. She's still having people stop her and say, weren't you charged with using drugs while pregnant? Weinberg said. There is still embarrassment. Her charges have been dropped, but they haven't been expunged, so the case still remains available as a public record. The warrant incorrectly states that Freeman tested positive for marijuana, amphetamines, and alcohol while pregnant. Etowah County officials have long taken an aggressive stance towards prosecuting drug use while pregnant. During 2013, after the Alabama Supreme Court ruled the chemical endangerment law applied to pregnant women and fetuses, former Sheriff Todd Entricken said his office would work closely with the district attorney and the Department of Human Resources to bring charges. In September, Etowah County District Attorney Jody Willoughby said his office would continue to pursue criminal charges against women who used drugs during pregnancy after they came under fire for harsh bond conditions that kept women in jail for months. I can assure you I will continue to prosecute those who harm innocent life to the fullest extent of the law, Willoughby said in a statement. Weinberg said Freeman spent about 36 hours in jail before she was released, although she didn't spend a long time incarcerated. He said investigators could have avoided it completely by administering a pregnancy test that Freeman offered to take. He said the Sheriff's Department has shown a pattern of aggressively enforcing the state's chemical endangerment law, which makes it illegal to use drugs during pregnancy. It's good that the charges were dropped, Weinberg said, but there's harm in someone even being arrested and spending 2 days in jail. Wrongful arrest and malicious arrest is problematic on its own.
Now nobody else will sell to her.
Well, nobody will sell drugs to her? Is that what you're saying?
Yep, that's why she's mad.
Well, I don't know that it's that.
No, it's sad that happened.
Yeah, most definitely. Got a story here from right here in the Twin Cities. Not a good story at that. If you've traveled the Twin Cities roads, you'll know how I feel in this next story. Not good drivers here in Minneapolis, St. Paul.
No, you've said that numerous times.
Yeah. They're either going 100 miles an hour on the road or they're going 2 miles an hour on the road. There's no in between. They're either very stupid drivers or they drive decently, one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there you go. A driver was shot twice in the butt in a Twin Cities road rage incident. I know it sounds funny, but it's not.
That's why you got to be careful who you moon.
That's right. That's why you never stick your pressed ham against the window.
Yeah.
The 23-year-old victim was taken to Regents Hospital by a relative. A man suffered 2 gunshot wounds to his butt when he was the victim of a road rage incident on Highway 61 in St. Paul on Saturday night. According to St. Paul police, the 23-year-old man was driving south on Highway 61 around 9 p.m. when he got involved in a road rage type incident with a silver SUV. Police say shots were fired at the 23-year-old's vehicle when he was struck twice. The victim abandoned his car on the highway and was picked up by a family member who drove him to Regents Hospital. In a statement to Bring Me the News on Sunday, police said the 23-year-old was expected to be released from the hospital. The driver from the suspect vehicle kept driving south on Highway 61, and why wouldn't he? No arrests have been announced, and anyone with information is urged to call St. Paul PD at 651-291-1111, which just goes to show you if you come to Minnesota, you're going to take 2 in the ass.
It's a real pain in the butt going to Minnesota.
Yeah, that's right.
That's pretty impressive to hit him in the butt if he's sitting on it.
You know, that's kind of a trick shot.
Yeah.
Really
I'm reminded of Forrest Gump. Something bit me. Do you think when they picked him up, he walked out, went, ouch, 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 ouch?
I got to think he was dancing around just woo, 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 you know, kind of like an old Ric Flair bit.
Something bit me.
Something bit me. Ooh, my ass, my ass, my ass, my ass. I know I shouldn't joke about it because, I mean, road rage is a serious thing.
It is. And there's no reason you should be pulling a gun on the road.
No, but man, what a shot.
Yeah.
I mean, if
they weren't going for the kill shot, you know, maybe they're trying to do warning shots and it ricocheted up through the floorboard, but still. 2 in the butt, good for him.
Yeah.
Them. We don't know if it was him. Them, good for them.
And if you got 1 in each cheek, man, you need to hit the carnival circuit, boy. I mean,
and that guy, if it was 1 in each cheek, that guy has now the best Halloween costume ever because he has 2 scars on his cheek. He could just paint them black and put glasses on his butt and walk backwards.
Well, yeah. He's got 2 little eye holes, 2 little beady eyes. He can draw little eyebrows on his ass cheeks.
Exactly.
Yep. Put a little, you know, he could go as.
What?
He could go as remember the little magnetic drawing guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You could put a little magnetic stick on the side of his hip and people could draw. Yeah. You could put little magnet shavings on him and you could draw a face on his ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you tell I'd tell people if I got shot in the butt twice, I'd be like, yeah, I got shot in the butt twice
and lived. But you know,
I'm pretty sure he's gonna skip leg day from now on.
Well, right. I mean, you know, you don't have a bony ass if you can take 2 in the ass and make it to the hospital from South St. Paul.
His mom's like, I told you were a pain in the ass.
There's no. Let me see. If he went to Regents from South St. Paul. Yeah, he had a big fat ass. I mean, there's that's quite a ways. And he had somebody drive him.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no emergency there. He probably, you're talking about a guy with a 52, 54 waist.
And he, like I said, he went, something bit me.
Something bit me. Yeah, that's for sure. This guy gets the dumbest criminal of all award of the week.
Okay.
I can't even talk. It's this dumb.
He's that dumb, huh?
He's that dumb. We go to Missouri, where a Missouri man who's from Louisville. No, I'm kidding.
Louisville's Kentucky.
See how dumb that sounds? Missouri, Louisville.
Missouri, yeah, and Louisville is in Kentucky.
It's Missouri and Louisville. By the way, the more I turn around, the more I hear people pronouncing it correctly. I hear it all the time now on the news, nationally. I hear Louisville. And I want to thank those broadcasters for stepping up to the plate and finally correcting the wrong that has been done on the great city of Louisville.
It'll always be Louisville in Missouri. Because the people that live there say that.
Blink twice if you haven't had a stroke. Just blink twice real quick. Bruiser, because it sounded like you were having one real quick there.
I wrestled in Louisville, and Yeah, and that's how the locals pronounce it. Now, who am I to tell the locals they're wrong? And I lived in Missouri for years.
Missouri?
And every time I said, "Oh, Missouri," they're like, "No, Missouri."
Is it St. Louis?
No, it's St. Louis.
Is it
in Louisville?
St. Louis?
In Louisville.
St. Louis, Missouri?
Louisville.
St. Louis, Missouri? Anywho, a Missouri man has...
What'd the Missouri man do?
The Missouri man wrote a demand note on his birth certificate while robbing a bank.
Oh, yeah, they're definitely going to catch you.
Yeah, I think you're done. This Missouri man robbed a bank using a demand note written on the back of his own birth certificate. Way to go, genius. While he also was wearing an ankle monitor related to an earlier offense.
They'll never know it's me.
The genius in question is 30-year-old Michael Conley Lloyd, only spelled with one L.
Oh, of course.
Because they ran out of L's evidently,
and common sense
at the hospital that day.
What do you think the ankle bracelet was for? Just a nice fashion? It's like,
yeah.
Hey, this is fashionably nice. Wow, the criminal justice system's great for making me look good.
This is from the Donna Karen line of jail accessories. He pleaded guilty to robbing a Bank of America branch in Springfield, or is it Springfield?
Wait, he pleaded guilty? How'd they know it was him?
Bruiser, we had this talk earlier in the program. We're going to let Timmy do what? We're going to let Timmy
read the story while we go on this ride.
Here we go.
There's no twist to this, though. This guy, there's no twists.
He pleaded guilty to robbing a Bank of America branch in Springfield last summer and said he did it to prove a point to his lover. Though it's unclear what point he was trying to make.
That he's a complete idiot and she shouldn't marry him.
I guess. Lloyd entered his plea to one count of bank robbery in federal court on Friday, according to a Department of Justice press release. In July, Lloyd stole $754 from the local Bank of America after giving a bank teller a note written on the back of his birth certificate that read, "Give me your money now. Don't say anything. I have a partner outside." After taking the cash and his note from the teller, Lloyd left the bank and drove away in a black Dodge Ram pickup truck that belonged to his roommate. The boyfriend of Lloyd's roommate alerted authorities to Lloyd shortly after the heist, and they were able to locate him at the Lazy Acres mobile home park where he lived.
Which is the perfect name for a place for him to live.
Oh, yes, it is. As he drove away from the bank, Lloyd saw police cars responding to the robbery, causing him to become so scared, he threw the money out of the truck along with his birth certificate and ID. Yes.
Here's your money back, and here's how you can find me.
Exactly. He allegedly then texted his roommate to say that her truck was stolen and that she should listen to the police scanner. It's much better than listening to the radio. You get the news sooner. Lloyd told authorities that he and his lover had gotten into an argument that day and that he had robbed the bank to prove a point. Authorities said Lloyd...
What was their argument about? How long it takes police to respond to a bank robbery?
Especially when you throw your ID and your birth certificate out the window with the money?
Yeah, like were they watching a heist film? And he's like, oh, no, that's not how it is. They're faster than that. And the lover's like, no. That's exactly how it is. Yeah, I'll watch this.
I guess.
Hold my mouth.
Authorities said Lloyd waived his Miranda rights and confessed to the robbery that same day. That's expediency for you. Investigators compared a previous booking photo of Lloyd to surveillance photos taken from the bank during the robbery and then confirmed he had been at the bank through tracking his ankle monitor. There's some.
I really hope they didn't give a detective a promotion because there was no investigation at all into this crime.
Yeah, that was top-notch work right there. If Lloyd is given the maximum sentence, he'll receive 20 years and a $250,000 fine, all over $754.
that he didn't take with him.
Well, he took it. It left the bank. It just didn't make
That's
it
true.
home.
Yes. Yeah.
And by the way, this is what it looks like when you get shot in the ass twice in Minneapolis.
That's not that. I'm expecting that to be Lloyd.
That is Lloyd.
Okay. What is the numbers on his neck?
It's the amount of money he stole from the bank.
Is that a tattoo of numbers, or is that part of the prison uniform?
That's a tattoo on his neck, but they have it blurred out for some reason. I'm trying to zoom in.
You see what I'm saying? Like there's a number 12 on the bottom, isn't there?
I think is that swearing? I think it says fuck 12.
He really hates Aaron Rodgers.
I think he does. Seriously, let me see. I'm trying to zoom in.
That is a number 12 though, right? I'm not, because sometimes jail shirts, they put the size on the shirt.
Yeah. No. That's on his skin. It's on his neck. I'm trying to zoom in on the picture so you can see it. Oh, I'm not getting it clear. Here we go. This is on his neck.
Yeah, that says fuck 12.
Yeah.
He really hates Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady.
Yeah. So he either hates Tom Brady, he hates Aaron Rodgers, or he hates Roger Staubach. I have no idea. He hated some quarterback with the number 12 at one time.
Maybe he got to 11th grade and was like, I don't need high school anymore. Fuck 12th grade.
Fuck 12th grade. I don't need it.
Because obviously he has no education.
Because I'm going to make it, man. I'm going to make it in this world. I don't need 12th grade.
Yeah.
Someday I'm going to rob a bank and hit it rich.
And no one's going to know it's me. I'm going to leave them all the signs and they're still not going to figure it out.
I'm going to get away like a ghost in a wind.
What a charming young man.
He's a winner. I know his girlfriend is probably proud.
Yeah.
She's like, that's my baby right there. That was my baby. You know what he did? He took my truck and he took it to the scene of a crime. And he took his note into that teller and he said, listen here, bitch, you better give me all that money. And then he just one little mistake. My baby made one little mistake.
What mistake was that?
He took the piece of paper he meant to take regular copy paper off his desk.
Yeah.
But it just so turned out that we was going to take a trip. We was going to go to Branson.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
But
yeah.
he thought you needed your birth certificate to take the bus down to Branson. Because you know how you need your birth certificate sometimes to get a passport?
Yeah.
Yeah. He thought we needed a passport to get on the bus.
No, you did.
Right.
Yeah.
But we don't need no passport to get on Greyhound.
Oh, he didn't know that?
No. So, but we was gonna apply for a passport anyways, get on the bus.
Uh-huh.
So he's like, oh, well, fuck 12. And then he's going to put the passport back and he's going to put the birth certificate back so we didn't have to get a passport. But instead he forgot and he turned the birth certificate over and he wrote the note. And he didn't mean to. He meant to put it on copy paper. But he put the stick-up note on the birth certificate. That was his first mistake. The second mistake is he meant to throw the money in the ID and the birth certificate / stick-up note in the bed of the truck, but he's got a better arm than Aaron Rodgers, and he overthrew the truck bed.
And he's mad at Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers took his job. He was supposed to be a starting quarterback for the Packers.
That's right. It was supposed to say Lloyd 12 on the back of his jersey, not Rodgers 12. Yeah, see, but he overthrew Sterling Sharp in the tryout. See,
and that's why he has the ankle bracelet.
Right. Because he kicked Aaron.
So good, they had to make sure. Hey, we need to monitor where you're at in case Rodgers goes down.
That's right.
And we need a backup quarterback.
That's right. And he kicked Mike Holmgren so hard in the booty that they arrested him. Yeah. See, that's what happened. Otherwise, he's a star in my book. Mm-hmm.
You're right, though. He wins the award for dumbest criminal.
Yep, dumbest criminal of the week. That's him.
Yep.
This woman was a runner-up. She's from Texas.
Okay. Yeehaw.
Although I think I figured out, don't tell Mrs. Bruiser that the jig is up, but I think I found your monkey.
All right.
Although, good plan. You just hired the wrong person.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I gotta vet people. But you know what? The people I wanted to hire didn't have their birth certificate for some reason.
Oh, well, he probably wrote a stick-up note on the back of it.
Yeah.
Texas woman was arrested after smuggling an endangered spider monkey in a box she claimed held beer.
Ma'am, your beer's moving.
Your beer is chirping, ma'am. And smells like bananas.
Ma'am, your beer just threw feces at me.
Talk about monkey business. Wah, 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 wah. A Texas woman entering the U.S. told border officials the wooden box in her car was filled with beer. In reality, it was an endangered spider monkey she planned to sell to Beer City Bruiser. The 20-year-old woman pleaded guilty to smuggling wildlife into the U.S. without first declaring and invoicing it and fleeing an immigration checkpoint. Oh, I would have loved to have seen the video on that deal.
Oh, yeah. I can just picture the monkey plastered against the back window just chirping away.
After a months-long investigation, by the way, that it took months long.
A month long to find out there's no beer in that. Months. To find out there's no beer in that crate.
Yeah. In the immigration checkpoint, there is no beer. That's why we drink it here. According to a news release from the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, she attempted to enter the U.S. from Mexico through the Gateway International Bridge in Brownsville, Texas on March 21st. That's how long it's been since they found out that there was no beer in there. It took a half a year.
Wait a minute. There's no beer in there. That's a monkey.
That's a monkey, by gosh, by golly. Holmes.
We have Englishmen pursuing our Mexican border.
Holmes, come here. Quickly. Look, that's not beer. It's a monkey. So officers noticed a wooden box with holes inside her car.
Well, yeah, you got to let your beer breathe.
Yeah, it needs its freshness.
Yeah.
Which she claims contained beer she had bought in Mexico. It's Dos Equis, not Dos Monkeys. However, when officers opened the box, they discovered a live spider monkey. Officers then...
Now, in her defense, that monkey's name is Beer.
That's true, yeah. Well, that's Beer, my monkey. Yeah. My monkey's name is Beer. Officers then referred the woman to a second inspection, but she sped off instead. Later that day, officers...
What, they didn't believe her? They didn't believe that was a real monkey? They'd have somebody else look at it?
No,
Hey, Jim, I'm sending a lady over to you. Why? I think we got a monkey in a crate.
I think this is a monkey. Later that day, officers Pardon me, I have hiccups now. I've got the monkey hiccups. You can get that just from reading monkey stories, you know.
I believe it.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a lot of monkey business today.
Yeah. Later that day, officers discovered online sales listings for the spider monkey with the woman's phone number, according to the release. How did they get her phone number?
They called her.
How did they get her phone number?
They said, hey, we're looking to buy a spider monkey. She's like, yeah, shh, quiet. I just got through immigration. Where do you want to meet?
Don't tell those idiots I made it through, but hold on. I got the greatest story about this monkey. His name is Beer.
There's this guy, his name's John, and he's such an idiot. He tried to send me to Jim because he thought there was beer in my car.
Wait a minute. My name's John. My partner's name is Jim, and we're in immigration. The woman turned herself in on March 28th, according to the release. The monkey was recovered and placed in an animal shelter in Central Florida, which is also known as a trailer park. The woman will be sentenced on January 25th, 2023.
What's taking so? Why do they not believe it was a live spider monkey? Have they never seen a spider monkey before?
Meanwhile, that spider monkey is still in that trailer park.
Exactly.
Sipping on cervezas and
talking to his baboon cousin about the good time they had.
Funny enough,
raiding a breakfast.
Yeah, exactly. Funny enough, the other neighbor is Kid Rock. Smuggling in endangered species for commercial gain is a tragic crime against nature's precious resources, said Craig Larrabee, acting special agent in charge at Homeland Security Investigation San Antonio. HSI takes every opportunity to join our federal, private sector, and international partners to share our knowledge. What knowledge?
I just don't know what a spider monkey is.
We wish we knew what that thing was that we took out of the crate. Experience and investigative techniques designed to protect and preserve threatened and endangered species. There are 7 species of spider monkeys, by the way, found across Central and South America, according to the World Wildlife Fund, the not so WWF. Officials did not specify to which species the recovered spider monkey belonged, probably because he's in witness protection right now.
Exactly. He's got a whole new name. He's actually not a spider monkey anymore. He's a chimpanzee.
Yeah. He's changed. He's changed his species for protection and witness protection. Finally, last story today for Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. It turns out the dumbest criminal of all is the smartest animal in the yard.
Okay.
And one that won't be appearing on your plate at Christmas.
Oh, turkey. Okay. Or ham?
Ham.
Okay. So pig. I like pigs. I want to own a pig.
It's the one frozen ham that won't be found at the supermarket this year. The reason I say frozen ham, because this pet pig was found in Wyoming after surviving sub-zero temperatures.
Oh, good for him.
Yep.
Now that right there, that's a survivor.
That's right. We're ending on a good note today. This little piggy went missing, but a pet pig named Miss Piggy, that's right, was rescued in Cheyenne, Wyoming, after managing to survive in sub-zero temperatures for 48 hours. On Tuesday, the report of a pig running hog wild, yeah, I said it, came into the Cheyenne Police Department. At around the same time, a family from Nebraska that made a pit stop while traveling through Cheyenne reported that their baby female pet pig had gone AWOL.
Yeah, you can't leave it's not like you can kennel a pig.
Yeah, exactly. They had pulled over for a pit stop and the pig got out. I believe their young daughter let it out. They were stopping for McRib. At the
pig's
McDonald's.
like, I'm out.
Yeah, and yeah.
Actually, the pig saw this very handsome frog hopping across the road.
Oh.
And it was a love story. And the 48 hours was actually them going all over Cheyenne to all the romantic spots.
Oh.
The swamp.
The swamp.
Styes. Anywhere that doesn't serve ham or frog's legs.
So they went to Red Lobster and they ate all the fish.
Oh, Kermie, I love you so much.
Why, piggy? CPD's animal control supervisor Elizabeth Wagner told the outlet that, they pulled over for a pit stop and the pig got out. I believe their young daughter let it out. The pig was missing for 2 days in sub-zero temperatures, managing to evade officers from the CPD who were searching through the snow. So the pig was on the lam. Although it had nothing to ride. It was definitely cold and it was snowing at the time, Wagner said, explaining that the temperature was actually in the negatives and we even had winter storm warnings at night. Although the porker was running pretty quick, when she finally was spotted, she was rescued and taken to an animal shelter. Her family drove back from Nebraska and was reunited with Miss Piggy about 5 hours later. So there you go.
Yay.
Yeah, so Miss Piggy is now safe.
Good.
Yep.
Now they're going to slaughter her and eat her for Christmas.
Oh, no, Bruiser! No, not at all.
A long and healthy, happy life.
Yeah. Now Miss Piggy is safe and all is right with the world, hanging out and partying with baboons and drinking a beer with a spider monkey. Yeah, so there you go. So that'll do it for Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. Tomorrow on the show, we've got supernatural news, so more of the same. By the way, you can get your Parashare stories for supernatural news Parashare to us by emailing me at tim@darknessradio.com or going to darknessradioshow.com and clicking on that blue button. Leave us a voice note. You can leave up to a 2-minute voice note for us. If you need more than 2 minutes, just click on that blue button again, leave more than 2 minutes, and I'll stitch it together and we'll play it here on the show. For Beer City Bruiser, I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much for listening today to True Crime Tuesday. Want to thank our guest today, Lawrence Davis. The book is out there and available right now from wildbluepress.com. Destruction of Justice. Pick up a copy today. Let us know what you think of it. Drop us a note at tim@darknessradio.com. And we'll have him back on for the third book when that comes out as part of a trilogy. Thank you so much, folks, for listening today. Join us tomorrow for Darkness Radio. Thanks for listening to the best in true crime podcasting. This has been True Crime Tuesday.